Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Big Finish Fans. In today's Big Finish Fans, we're doing a bit of a roundup, a bit of a mop-up of things what we never got quite around to when April was around. So we're taking a look at the Outlaws, Torchwood Nightmares, which Luke is going to take full charge on, and Doctor of War. We hope we can do one of these, maybe once a month, releases what we miss, so we can do a nice collection of stuff so we can justify why we bought these releases. So once again, I'm joined with Luke.
Yes, hello everyone. It's a big old stream tonight, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
All right.
Here's a big old one. So I guess we'll wait for a few more people to join. What have we been doing? It's been a while since we've done a stream. So how have you been occupied yourself?
We missed a week, didn't we? I've just been listening to a fair bit of Big Finish, really, as you would expect.
Standard.
I mean, got to prepare for this stream, so been ploughing through Doctor of War and Torchwood One Nightmares. Outlaws I did do a couple of weeks back when that first came out. And the set itself arrived today for me. Sadly, you've not got your copy yet.
No,
you got the dispatch yesterday or the day before, didn't you?
I think it was the 3rd of May I got it, I think.
It can't be that long away then.
It'll be tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be tomorrow. Because I think, that might be when I got mine too. But yeah, and it really does work for me in person, actually. I was telling you just before we went live that it does have this sort of like charcoal drawing feel to it, where it feels like someone's got a black piece of paper, then got the white chalk and drew Hartnell on there. I think it really does pop quite well in hand, I would say. And it's a shame not to have more cover to it in a way, but I think I'm happy with it for what we've got. It seems like a good way to start, like with this set going back to basics for the first Doctor. So yeah, I've really come around on that cover. Having it physically has worked quite well for me. And yeah, it's also got this nice, like, similar to what Jago and Lightfoot had with the off-white colouring, like that beige. It's got that as an accent at points on it, like on the top and throughout the booklet. So that helps. It feels like quite a nice collector's item, really. It's like a prestige piece, I guess.
It's going to look good on the shelf, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and also the extended extras for that dropped online today, actually, or somewhere. I don't know. I checked in my account and then saw that they were there. So,
oh, lovely.
Yeah, that's like an hour worth for the whole box set.
Oh, fantastic.
I have. More? I think I already listened to the ones that come with the original download, so I've probably heard more than half of what's been said before. But I'll have to dive back into that and get the bits I missed somewhere.
Yeah, I think I did the Outlaws extras, which is fun.
Yeah, I think miniaturist extras aren't that long. I think that was
about 4 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah,
so really tiny.
Because the minute for the story is so chunky that there's not much room left on that disc to fit more on there.
Yeah, it's a chunky one. It's a chunky one.
But yeah, how have you been, Ben? How have you been occupying yourself?
It's the final week of uni next week, so that's my time. That's my time at the minute. So yeah, surprisingly, I went and revisited some Jodie Whittaker. Oh yes.
Oh really?
With the news of Sacha Dhawan and Joe Martin, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna dip my toe back into the Jodie stuff. So I did Village of Angels and loved it. I've see what people say about it with it being a modern classic. Is it the best Weeping Angel story? No, that's still the Matt Smith two-parter for me. But still, it's very good. It is very good. I watched Spyfall, Plain Thieves.
No, both parts.
Both parts. And then I went on to do Fugitive for Jejune.
I got the Joe Martin debut.
Yeah, which now I'm sort of there. I'm like, do I continue just doing the Lone Sideman stuff and see how Series 12 works without Praxis and Can You Hear Me without like the filler?
Yeah, I suppose you could. Like, it's only really the 6 episodes of main arc, isn't it? And then you've got Orphan 55, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, filling those gaps.
But I had a really good time with them.
Yeah. Have you heard all the stuff about the Chris Chibnall interview that he did in DWM?
I started reading it actually on Sunday, but I've not got around to finishing it. And it's quite interesting that he said that there's no definitive placement for Joe Martin's Doctor, but yet there's a little thing in there about season 6B. I'm like, well, she's season 6B. I don't know whether it's because Beyond War Games is happening. I've just got a little bit excited about that whole thing. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, she's season 6B. I've decided.
Yeah, I think in terms of the main canon, that seems to be where it would best fit, just with the TARDIS being there and everything. Because I think one of the parts of the interview he revealed that was a last-minute addition. Like Fugitive June was originally going to be the Jadoon looking for some like alien princess or something was mentioned, but then he went, you know what? Why don't we have it be the Doctor instead, and tie into this timeless child arc, but also kind of not tie into this timeless child arc because it does. You end up with more questions than answers, and I think that's one of the main things that people were upset about, hearing that he didn't really do it as an arc to give answers. It's just this like attempt to add mystery back into Doctor Who, but maybe not in the best way.
I mean, I think the sentiment behind it's rather nice. I like that. But like you say,
because the execution that lets it down.
It's the talk of like 2018 was like, well, he's got a 5-year plan. Did he have a 5-year plan? That is the question.
Yeah, and there's so much strange stuff, like the Doctor being arrested at the end of what is it, Timeless Children. There's no reason for that given. Like, we're not gonna get one. It seems.
Or is it just me putting two and two together that she was there when it was like on the Jadoon ship when it's like, oh, I'm the Doctor too. Like, that's really mucked you up now, isn't it? So it's like, oh, we've got to bring you in now. So I think that's probably a tie-in from that, probably.
Oh no, it is a tie-in from that, but I mean the reason.
Oh, the reason. Okay.
The Doctor is the fugitive Doctor. The whole reason behind that isn't given.
Okay, sorry.
And so, yeah. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, it's just a shame that there was probably some potential there for something interesting, but it seems Chris Chibnall never had any intention of exploring that anyway. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people got excited. And it's also a shame that the first Black Doctor, let alone a Black female Doctor, has just been given to us as this shock reveal, and then nothing more beyond that, really. Like the thought process was, oh, wouldn't it be this fun, shocking reveal? I think that's Chris Chibnall in a nutshell with a lot of shows. Like with Broadchurch Series 1, he was ready to change the identity of the killer if it leaked. Like, it wasn't about how the story flowed or anything like that. Like, it was just about getting the shock value of it, which just feels wrong. Like, that's not a way you should tell stories.
It cheapens your work, what's gone in before.
Yeah.
Because it's like looking back at Yaz as a character, but there's kind of a will they, won't they with Ryan, and then it sort of shifts to, oh, it's Phasmin.
Yeah, it makes it more disposable. It's got the surface level stuff there, so that most people hopefully enjoy it on the first watch. But then when you go back to see if there's hints of things before, a lot of the time there's none to be found, or if it is there, it's sort of accidental, or you're just projecting onto it, which is a shame. But anyway, RTD's coming back soon, so
yeah, he posted a photo, wasn't it, yesterday with him in a Dalek?
Yeah, it seems filming could be getting going very soon, or maybe already has.
I mean, there's that rumor that 14th of May, 14th Doctor. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see.
Apparently, there's also a rumor that they're using the similar stagecraft technology to The Mandalorian and a lot of the Disney Plus shows.
I thought, wasn't that like trademarked or like copyrighted? So they can't.
Or
they've got to use something similar to it.
Yeah, something like that. Because apparently Sony has that, or has been investing in developing it anyway. Because they've got Bad Wolf, the rumor is that they can just use the studio there, because it would be a bit out of their league otherwise to buy it themselves just for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I think it is plausible when you think about that. And apparently, a lot of Doctor Who has made a lot of leaps in terms of television before that, anyway, with technology from the Lord of the Rings films, like the CGI digital technology being passed down to Doctor Who and being the first time stuff like that was used on TV. I believe there's also a type of camera that was used in Star Wars that eventually moved down to Doctor Who in the 80s and was the first time that was used in TV production rather than
I
film
think the
production.
McCoy intro was like the first CGI TV intro out there
Yeah. So
as
like
well.
Doctor Who,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's a pioneer.
Yeah, Doctor Who is definitely at the forefront of a lot of these technologies. So if it was turn up anywhere on cheaper TV than a Disney Plus show, Doctor Who wouldn't be that far out of a place to consider.
But I think it fits what Russell was saying before he became showrunner. Is like, I think Doctor Who should have a channel to itself. So it kind of fits what Russell was teasing at now. And I think everything Russell was saying, a year ago has a bit more ring of truth behind it now.
Yeah, it's funny to think that wasn't all that long ago he was talking about this, and now he has the power to.
I wonder if he knew back then, and he's
Yeah.
just like but he began plotting like, oh yeah, let's have a Nissa series and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, I wonder how full on he's going to take it. I feel like he wouldn't have known quite then. I think certainly the conversations must have happened pretty soon after.
Mm.
Yes. Hello, Project Boredom. Welcome to the chat.
Hello.
Hey, just got the complete CD set of season 27 before they went out of print. Very nice.
Good job.
I listened to the Doctor of War excerpt from the newsletter, and Tom Baker's opening performances gave me chills. Well, we'll get more into Doctor of War later, but that may be the best bit of the set.
Real? Okay. All right.
It might not be worth carrying on after that.
He said it, not me.
You were thinking it.
I can neither confirm or deny that thought.
We'll have to wait for Ben's thoughts a bit later. Hello, Stylish One. Welcome back.
Hello.
I'd never thought I'd see the day. Ben praising Rufus Hound in a review. What next? Luke liking Evil of the Daleks, me liking Invasion, Greg Links hating Torchwood, James hating McGann. Well, who knows?
I'm a changed man for now.
Finally made a stream. Welcome yesterday.
Welcome
yesterday,
today.
Yeah, welcome Ben Miller.
Hello.
Starch one asked, did you know that over a decade ago David Yates said he was doing a Doctor Who movie? Nothing has been heard of it since. Yeah, I saw people talk about that out on Twitter, and it brought back the memories of sitting in the car on the way to school hearing about it on the radio. And I'm pretty sure it was in newspapers as well, wasn't it? But I suppose maybe did Fantastic Beasts start then? Did that maybe sidetrack it and we were spared that?
It might be a blessing, actually.
Yeah, I think because it would be like similar to the. Although then again, but I'll go for what I was going to say first. Similar to the Cushing movies, it would be like a separate canon, separate continuity. But then again, with Timeless Children, would that then be folded into it?
See, you open a can of worms with that.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, that.
Yeah. Sergeant says, and Ben listening to Torchwood, what will we see next? Anything is possible. I'm afraid Ben hasn't listened to Torchwood this time. It's just me.
No,
so in the spirit of Nigel Best, the talk show host played by John Coleshaw in that box set, Ben is going to be asking me questions about it as if we're on a panel show.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
There's no preparation.
No.
It could all go tits up, but hey, we're all here to have a good time.
Yeah, that's the thinking, at least. We'll see about the execution, but yeah.
I should have got like a blazer and tie, but it's too late now.
Oh, no. You can let the side down.
Damn.
Yeah, we have both listened to Outlaws and Doctor of War, so yeah, we'll sort of like be sandwiching Torchwood one in between those two, and then diving into quite a bit of news, quite a bit of it
Oh, yeah.
exciting. So I suppose, shall we start with the Outlaws?
Yeah, we can do. I'll just load it up so there's a bit of visual thing on the screen for people. So, do you want to? I mean, yeah. Do you want to open it up about the Outlaws since I've had a little talk about it before?
You've had your review out there already, so
I mean, I will like to talk about Stephen Noonan. Like, just
yeah.
I'll let you
That's
do your
fine.
opening thoughts first. I'll let you do your opening.
Yeah, it's funny to think it wasn't that long ago that we first heard about this box set. Like, got proper details on it, like 2 months, 3 months, maybe.
Was it like
Before.
February?
Yeah, it must it was pretty late in the day, wasn't it? Because I think Nicholas Briggs recently on podcast came out to say that with Flux, with Doctor Who being on TV at the moment, they couldn't get round to announcing stuff as soon as they wanted. Like, they were told to sort of like hold back on a lot of news that it didn't risk overshadowing anything TV show related. And so that's why with things like Nightmares and Outlaws, a lot of them didn't go up for pre-order, or we didn't get details on it until quite late in the day. Yeah, what were you going to say?
I was watching, I think, the Council of Geeks interview with Jason A. Gallery, which very good interview actually. And like one of the things they bring up is like, why do you release so much, in a month, And they're like, well, at the end of the day, we're fans as much as you, and we're just excited to get it out to you, and I can relate to that. But yeah, sometimes it does feel a little bit too much, and especially when we had that bombardment of information, and it's almost a bit of the same sort of post Legend of the Sea Devils, really. That it was kind of like a dry spell. Now it's like bam, bam, bam. Here's some news for you.
Yeah, but I think at least now it's not too soon in terms of the news that they're giving us. Because, like, Torchwood 1, Nightmares, we didn't hear about that until February, I'm pretty sure. So that's like 2 months ahead. Suddenly there's this new box set. And I think a lot of people do like to budget ahead with Big Finish and know what they're going to be getting. So it can, like, hurt
Especially
a
with
bit.
prices now.
Yeah. It can hurt a bit to have that have the rug pulled out from under you and it being like, you thought you had everything set for this month? Well, there's another release that we've just announced.
Classic Doctor's New Monsters did that.
God. At least that's August. That's like a fair bit away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we got that news April, didn't we? So
yeah.
technically. But yes.
Outlaws.
Yeah, Outlaws. Here we go. Stephen Noonan stepping into the role of the first Doctor for the first time. It's like another reimagining, but this time, like Nick Briggs has said, it is William Hartnell played on a different instrument. It's like that same performance, that same rhythm, but with a slightly different voice to it. And I'm sure Stephen is bringing something of himself to the role as well. He is a huge
Did you
fan.
see him at Big Finish Day?
I've seen the pictures.
It looked like a rocking Hartnell, like a punk rock
you could
Hartnell.
probably get.
Yeah, like if they're bringing him back for the 60th, get Stephen Noonan.
Yeah,
honestly,
you could like stick the wig on him, and he would
set the wig on. Good, like I can see it. Do that, Russell. If you're watching,
yeah,
get Stephen Noonan on 60th, please.
I'm sure Russell is watching.
Yeah, oh yeah, big fan.
Yeah, and I think they did deliberately go for an actor in his 50s to replicate that same energy Hartnell had, because Hartnell was only in his 50s playing older anyway, so it was sort of similar. Whereas Bradley's now in his 80s, isn't he?
I think he's just turned 80 now.
Yeah. And so it's a very different take to what Bradley has, whereas Bradley is sort of playing his own version of the first Doctor, hence why he's the one on the covers here. This is sort of Bradley, Stephen Noonan's more channeling Hartnell and then putting that into the first Doctor. He's not like playing Hartnell playing the first Doctor. He is still very much playing it in his own way, but in a much more authentic way to William Hartnell. And very much what we have now with Tim Treloar as the third Doctor and Michael Troughton as the second.
It
Yeah.
only feels right looking at it now.
Yeah, I think with the first announcement, it did sort of seem a bit confusing. Like, why especially because with the first Doctor, we've not only had Bradley and Hartnell, we've also had Herndl in between that. And so he is one who often gets recast, I suppose.
But I think Jason A. Gallery said to Tim Treloar, like, you won't be the only person to play the third Doctor. There'll be many people after you. So it's like, yeah.
That almost sounds threatening.
It is, but I was like, are you getting rid
You
of
are
Tim
not
then?
replaceable, Tim.
You're getting rid of Tim. I mean, technically they have with John Coleshaw in like the audio novels, but yeah.
I remember a while ago, Colin Baker, he played a role on like that Star Trek fan series. And he was saying about how, because they had someone else stepping into Captain Kirk, he was very much channeling the original actor. And so Colin said he hopes someone can play the Sixth Doctor one day with that same sensibility. And so it seems Colin is open to being played by someone else one day, I guess.
I'm sure we've got plenty of Colin to come anyway.
Yeah. I think they seem to be bulking him up a bit more with the recordings.
Well, this year in particular, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on. All right. Yeah, so for this box set, we kick off with The Outlaws, a 4-part, really authentic, pseudo-historical, mostly historical, really, because it is only the monk there, the same as what we had in the Time Warrior.
Meddler.
Time Meddler, sorry. Time Warrior is Sontaran's third Doctor and Sarah Jane. Yeah, Time Meddler is very much sort of like the template that they're going for here. But also, I'd say a bit of Myth Makers. With
I can see that.
like, starting out quite jovial and fun, and then it's a massacre in the 4th episode. It gets quite brutal. And that's very much one of the undertones of the first stories. Like the first Doctor himself says, the brutish reality of history, my dear. And yeah, I think that is something you see quite a bit throughout that first story, where there is that fun side to history, but there is also a darker underbelly. And
yeah, it's not all like prancing around in like frocks and stuff. There is a darker edge to it, yeah.
Yeah, and it is quite dangerous as well. It's that rose-tintedness, isn't it? And we even have that now, looking back to more recent times. You look back on things as better than perhaps they were. You only remember the good, or some of the aesthetic, I suppose, is what people often go for, like the fashion and the style, just that look, rather than the darker underbelly that those times perhaps had. And then after that, after The Outlaws, you get the 2-parter, The Miniaturist, which is something much more experimental, set in 2019. So bringing us up to near enough our time, bringing the Doctor and Dodo to us in a way, but still in a very experimental, sort of like true to the 60s in that sense, but also unlike anything we got back then at the same time. I'd say probably the closest it comes to is perhaps Celestial Toymaker.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like, you've got this omnipresent being messing around with the lives of mortals in a sense.
I just think out of the 2 stories, I think that one's a bit more interesting because it's not your run-of-the-mill. Here's a fun little historical with a sinister edge, like you say. The Miniaturist, I feel, has like the first 10 minutes are like, where's the title sequence? Like, I don't know if it is a stylistic choice or it's just disk space, but I think it works all the better for it not having that title sequence.
Because it's a very chunky story. It's like a 40-minute first part, and then I believe just over 30 for the second. Yeah. So, it's taken up a lot of space. So you wonder, is it just that they couldn't fit a title sequence there? Or did they want to throw you off? Similar to the War Master in the second box set, Master of Callus. I think, is it something
Persistent Dreams? Is it Plague of Dreams? Some of Dreams, Persistent of Dreams.
Plague of Dreams is
the Companion Chronicles. I swear it's like Persistent of Dreams.
It's definitely something beginning with P. I say, yeah, Persistence of Dreams. That is it.
There we go.
Yeah, that one doesn't have a title sequence either, and it's a very mind-bending, very much messing with you story, and so that almost works. You sort of begin to question, wait, has the title sequence already gone? Have I missed it?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, there's something comforting about having a title sequence there. It's
You know where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. When you don't have it, you're sort of thrown off, and that works for this story because
you're kind of on the edge for it.
Yeah, I think at least the first part of this story is. I feel like it loses that edge in the second part
because it goes more down the scientific route of trying to explain the miniaturist and what this thing they found.
It's sort of it's like that Stones of Blood thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, yeah. I think it's not as much of a culture shock though as Stones of Blood is, where you're suddenly in this different setting. I think this one does sort of ease into that, but yeah, that edge is unfortunately lost towards the end of the miniaturist. It feels like it's a strong idea, really creepy execution at first, but then for me it does sort of peter out a bit towards the end. I still say it's a very strong story, but yeah, unfortunately that side of it didn't quite work as well for me. I think, but yeah, part one, brilliant stuff. And then the Outlaws, also just a lot of fun, I'd say. It was the perfect way to have us be reintroduced to the Third Doctor, I think. How about you?
The Third Doctor, I think it was First Doctor, wasn't it?
I'm tripping over my words tonight.
You got Tim on your mind.
No, I'm just channeling William Hartnell. That's what I'm doing.
That's one thing I really adore is the little fluffs and stuff. Like there's little tiny details where you get a nice little smile, and when you listen to like the extras, like Stephen New said, that was the only time he fluffed lines was Doctor Who. And I didn't realize, because I think Stephen Noonan brought it up in an interview he did with Nick Briggs, that he was watching like a Donald Tosh interview. I know I'm going way off topic here, but I'll get around. I'll segue back in somehow. But Hartnell, I didn't realize Hartnell had an accident filming Dalek Invasion of Earth. And
yeah, that's why he wasn't in the fourth episode, I think. Because that wasn't a planned holiday. They had to write him out at the last minute, didn't they?
And Donald Tosh has a theory that when his condition worst, that just set everything sort of off kilter for him, really. And I don't think we'll ever realise the full extent of how bad Hartnell was, but you've got to really give it like 46 weeks a year, probably recording Doctor Who. Something daft like that. So hats off to the man, really. But I think Stephen Noonan, the Outlaws, it's just that great authentic feel. It was one of those ones where I just had a lot of comfort listening to it. I think that for the 60s Big Finish stories I have with the early Adventures Companion Chronicles, there's just something nice just getting into bed and just putting your headphones in and listening to it. There's just something quite cozy about it. And the Outlaws definitely had that feel to it. And I think overall, I didn't want this box set to end. I just thought it's a bit of a shame we've only got the one box set.
Especially a shortened. Well, it's a very chunky box set, like we say. I mean, it's not just a miniaturist. The Outlaws episode 4 is a good 40 minutes as well.
Yeah, the last episode is for sure. But I think that it's a fun historical. It's the Time Meddler meets the Crusade in that sense, with a dash of Robin Hood.
Yeah, you do sort of have some ties to the Crusades as well. The time period.
King Richard, and I think because Lauren Cornelius has got very much a blank slate with Dodo, there's a lot more for her to play around with, but you kind of have that lovely naivety when she's talking about the kings to the sheriff, and obviously she gets thrown into the dungeons for being, disrespecting the regent king, which is great, and Hartnell reminiscing about the Crusades about 1066. Which you think's really over the top, but then you watch the Time Meddler, and there is Hartnell going at it, saying 1066, which is great.
Yeah, he
So
channels so many great lines, especially when he gets really mad. Like a lot of the
the
time, the monk
outbursts are
that's out.
there.
Yeah, he really does get those bits down. That's when you really hear Hartnell. But I think he's channeling it throughout, really, and you don't realise just how varied Hartnell's original performance
The
was.
Miniaturist is
And
such a different performance to the Outlaws, isn't it?
I believe the Miniaturist was recorded first, actually.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Because I noticed in part 1 there's a very different performance to in part 2 of the Outlaws. So I don't know if he was like, oh, I wasn't quite sure on that. Let's see what we can do for part 2. But again, that could just be the variation of Hartnell's performance.
Yeah, I suppose he allows himself that leeway with that, and then similar to what we had with Tim, he'll slowly ease more into the role, and will ease more into listening to him in the role, and it'll just sound more and more like the first Doctor. I got it right that time as we go along.
But I think compared to the third Doctor, I think that this is, I mean, this might be spoiling a future tier list. This is much more of a stronger start for a Doctor on Big Finish. I think Stephen Noonan just hit it out of the park.
Yeah, I think he's not got the narration holding him back this time.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, Tim walked so that a lot of these more recent recasts couldn't run, really, because that was very much when they were pushing the boat out a bit more, experimenting with what they could do and what they could get away with at Big Finish. And so they sort of had to ease that in, try and get the more older fan base to accept these things by saying, oh, he's not necessarily playing the third Doctor. If you don't like that, you can imagine him playing the narrator who's also just happens to be voicing the third Doctor. But then he was freed of those shackles by box set 2. And now, because of that, just things have expanded more and more at Big Finish. And now we can get something like the Outlaws that isn't held back by that. And similar to what the third Doctor does really well, it's very much feels like this authentic recreation of the era.
I think the music in the Outlaws, in particular, the little transitional pieces, felt very in keeping to the Hartnell era. It's just a mastery work.
The Miniaturist as well has those very creepy 60s sounds. Like, you know, it's like the Dead Planet stuff when you've got those atmospheric shots of the Dalek city, and I'm not sure quite what instrument it is. It sounds like maybe a string or something being played out of tune.
I know what you mean.
That's
Yeah.
It's
I know exactly
sounds
what
a lot
it
more
is.
creepy. Yeah, you get like that sort of sound from the Daleks being played a lot in the Miniaturist, and it really does turn up the atmosphere to 11. But I also want, similar to the Miniaturist for me though, the Outlaws does sort of fall apart in the final part again. Like, I feel like we've had all our fun with the monk and everything, and then when it all turns quite serious, it feels like there's not as much direction for the plot in episode 4. It's like we know what we've got to do, but it's just this series of scenes and things happening because it feels like they have to, but it feels like no real purpose to it, which is a shame. I think I was loving the Outlaws up until that point, and I think it's still got a fair bit of merit in episode 4, but it doesn't end quite as strongly as it began. It's similar to another First Doctor audio story, actually, the Phoenicians, for me, where I feel like both of them sort of keep going and wear out their welcome almost. I think maybe it would have been interesting to have 2 3-parters here. Maybe like wrap the Outlaws up a bit quicker and have that be a tighter script, and then allow the Miniaturist more time to really explore those interesting concepts rather than rushing to a conclusion in part 2.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But Stylish One says, Stephen Noonan, can I just say thank you for carrying on the legacy and bringing to life the first Doctor so brilliantly, and thank you for interacting with the fans too. Yeah, he's been great with the fans. Like,
he's in the chat. He's in the chat, Stephen Noonan. It's great.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Hello,
yeah.
Stephen.
So
sorry, I did not
thank
see
you
that.
very much. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure. Oh, it's very. I feel a bit starstruck. Oh,
Yeah,
it's great.
Stephen Noonan says the miniaturist is so long because I was acting so slowly. At one point, Nick said they would have turned over to ITV by now.
Oh.
Or-
I mean, it's a wonderful performance in the miniaturist, especially when he's being attacked. I know that caused a lot of pain recording it because of like the vocal stress on the vocal cords on like the larynx, yeah. But that was a good Hartnell sort of pain scream, really good.
Trevor Hicks says, I've heard a lot of reviewers saying there are too many fluffs. Personally, I think it was just the right amount. Yeah, I suppose with recreating the fluffs, there's always that risk that it is going to appear forced, because obviously when William Hartnell was doing it, that was natural for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think just because we know that it is being, as it is part of the performance now rather than a natural mess up, we are going to click onto that as fans of it. But I feel like it does work as a natural part of the performance as well.
It's not parodying Hartnell at all.
No.
It feels naturally placed in where they are.
Trevor Hicks says, hoping the next box set will be a 6-parter, if only for the nostalgia.
I mean, I'm very excited for the next box. I just feel it's a bit of a shame we've got to wait till January for the next one, really.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of fun with it. A lot of fun.
I mean, maybe there can be another First Doctor performance snuck in somewhere. Like we got the Third Doctor appearing in the next Classic Doctor's New Monsters set, so it'd be nice to maybe get a bit more of Stephen Noonan somewhere in between there somehow. I'm not sure where they could squeeze it in, but I wouldn't complain.
The Three Doctors Lost Stories, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, that could perhaps be.
That's been on the cards for a while.
For those who don't know, it has been teased in the podcast a couple of times that perhaps they could go back to the original, the Three Doctors script and recreate that. Similar to what they've done with Return of the Cybermen versus Revenge and the upcoming Genesis of the Daleks and the Ark in Space. So that could be an interesting one. But yeah, and I think it's interesting because I believe that was Stephen's first experience of the First Doctor, wasn't it? He says in interviews.
Yeah, on the behind the scenes, wasn't it? Yeah.
And that line of "What's a bridge for, eh?" I think that he very well recaptures when he's talking about that in the extras. I mean, yeah, funny story about. I always thought it said time breach at first when I was younger.
Okay.
Because that just sounds more right for like something in time. You wouldn't think of a bridge in time. You think of a breach, I guess.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, it didn't take me until those interviews to realise it was bridge. I did realise it a bit earlier on than that, but yeah, certainly it's like, especially the way Hartnell says it as well. I thought breach, but yeah, it's the funny things you hear when you're younger, and then they sort of stick with you for a while, and then suddenly when you're older, it just clicks, and you think, why was I hearing that all this time?
That's a trick of the mind.
Yeah, Stephen says, I just got in and saw this was on. Feel free to be critical, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. Yeah, I feel honoured to have you here.
What else can we say about the box set now?
It's a good box set. Nice sort of. It's a nice contrast, really, isn't it? I think it sort of follows the same format as what the David Bradley stuff did, where you have your sort of historical sci-fi. But I think the miniaturist sort of flips that on its head, really.
Yeah, that's very true. I think it's probably the one it's most similar to would be from box set 2. I can't remember of the David Bradley stories.
Is it the TikTok world?
No, that's box set 3. It's the Invention of Death. That's it by John Drawny, where that's a very different style of Doctor Who story. That's much more experimental and sort of is exploring this different species and how life would evolve if a species couldn't die, just how like that culture would see things. And so while this is completely different to that, it's sort of like in that same experimental vein that the 60s sometimes went into. But with the next box set, I would like something a bit more traditional sci-fi, I'd say. Like now that we've had these two styles, it'd be nice to fill that final hole of the Hartnell era and get some classic sci-fi. Maybe get some Vord in there, because I think we can't have the Daleks with Dodo because of what she says
In the War Machines, isn't it?
Yeah, the War Machine. Unless we somehow wipe her memory, maybe. But yeah, so I think maybe Vord would be a good threat for Stephen Noonan to come up against as the first Doctor.
They were quite prominent in like the comics, weren't they? Really. So I think it'd be good to have those as sort of more of a presence, really. But I think where the first Doctor stuff shined and the David Bradley stuff shined was like the historical. So I think it kind of keep the balance. But I wouldn't mind like a bit like what is it? I'm trying to think. There's just sort of like a no hope future story, like a sci-fi story. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
like an apocalyptic story spread like 6 episodes. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, well, especially with the first Doctor, a lot of the time it is just them trying to escape these horrible situations that they've ended up in, and then sometimes they do good along the way. Sometimes with stories like the Reign of Terror, their main priority is just get back to the TARDIS and be safe. And so maybe a story like that, but set in the future, like you say, that could really play into that.
Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah, I think it's good drama for the characters as well, because it does stress them a bit more, like especially when they're split up, and you could have the first Doctor and Dodo struggling to find each other.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if it is going to be like 6 episodes, then that'd be a good way of sort of breaking up the story, really, wouldn't it? Really.
Yeah, like having them each on their own paths. I mean, things like the Romans, they are two completely different halves of the story that occasionally weave into each other, but it's a comical sense of the characters don't actually see each other. Like, I believe, when what's Nero's chasing Barbara around the palace, he runs into Vicky and the Doctor at points, but they don't know he's after Barbara at all, and don't even realize that Barbara and Ian have ended up in Rome in that story. So maybe in a less comical way, or maybe in a comical way, if they go down that route, that would be a way to sustain a story for 6 parts by having those two there. And Stephen has said Nick's got an idea about how we can do a Dalek story. That's sort of like the real baptism for an actor playing the Doctor, isn't it? So I think Stephen does deserve a Dalek story there. So if there's a way to do it, I'm all for it.
I mean, I'm intrigued by it, because the Daleks are very much Hartnell's monster, aren't they? Really. Maybe we could get like a Dalek master plan version 2.
Yeah, get that across 2 box sets. Have a 12-parter.
Return of Marvick. I don't know. We could find a way of bringing him back.
I mean, we've had an authentic 7-parter for the third Doctor. Can we get a 12-parter for the first Doctor? I feel like 6, and I'd be happy, especially with the length of some of these episodes. It would basically wouldn't be far off at this point.
I mean, you could just do like another version of The Chase, really, couldn't you? I think that would be a good way of exploring different tones.
Stylish One says, if I may ask you a question, Stephen Noonan, are there any monsters that you'd really like to go up against in future box sets?
Precisely. Bring back the monoids, I say.
Well, Dodo already's met them, so
yeah, Security Kitchen. That can be the title of the box set. It'd be great.
Yes, but also with the Outlaws, the first, it's confusing when you talk about the Outlaws as a box set, because you have it as this box set title, but also it's the title of the first episode. So talk about the first story in particular. It was good to have a pseudo historical again for the first Doctor, because with a lot of the all of the Bradley box sets, all of those historicals were pure historicals. So I think throwing the monk in there really added a lot of fun to the Outlaws.
I think it played into that more comedic nature of the story, much like the Time Meddler, really.
Mm. Yeah, and I think Rufus Hound as the monk does play into that comedy a lot as well.
I feel like he was slightly different in this one compared to like his other stories. I feel like it was more of a traditional sort of Peter Butterworth monk. I don't know if there were plans to recast the monk or it was always going to be Rufus in that role. Yeah.
Yeah, it does very much feel like a more 60s take on his monk in some ways.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask, how do these stories compare for you against the other First Doctor adventures?
They're very different in their own way, but also brilliant at the same time, aren't they?
Yeah, they're both very authentic to the era as well. I'd probably say this maybe ranks somewhere in the middle. A bit more towards the top. I don't know. I feel like this is more consistent a box set because I think a lot of the David Bradley box sets have one really strong story and then another weaker one. I feel like this is maybe more consistent than, with perhaps the exception of Volume 4 with Return to Skaro and what was the other? Last of the Romanovs. I think that's the most consistent.
I think in terms of like the actual feel of the box set, I think the Outlaws I just had a really good time listening to it. It was just nice vibes for it, really. It just felt great sort of listening. I don't know how I feel. Like you say, Volume 4 of the David Bradley stuff, that's great. Like Return to Skaro, Last of the Romanovs, two very different styles of stories. And I don't think the David Bradley stuff did have like a comedic story like the Outlaws, I don't think.
No, I don't believe so. I suppose because the comedy sort of came into Doctor Who itself more after Carol Ann Ford left, after we lost Susan. And so I'd say the first story would be the Romans, where that comedy really comes into it. And so maybe when they're trying to recreate that season 1, early season 2 vibe, they're avoiding more full-on comedy there because that wasn't quite a part of that era. Obviously, they had their jokes, they had their comedic moments, but no story delved into comedy quite as much until the Romans came along. And yeah, as the Hartnell era went on, you had a lot more of that there with Mythmakers, to an extent, the Time Meddler, and was it Gunfighters as well. Lovely.
Yeah, we could get like another musical episode, maybe.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, how's your singing, Stephen Noonan? Could we perhaps get your rendition of the Ballad of the Last Chance Saloon?
That'd be exciting.
Yeah, and yeah, Stephen Noonan also says that the stylish one of the pre-Savages enemies, only the Daleks he would quite like to meet.
Could we get like a proper Mechanoids versus Dalek story? That'd be proper like TV action sort of stuff. That'd be really cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and maybe Dodo spends the whole time with the Mechanoids, so that line
Yeah,
of "You didn't meet
maybe.
them, did you, child?" can be
It makes sense,
maintained
yeah.
because she just doesn't meet the Daleks.
We've
That
cracked the
doesn't,
code.
yeah, that doesn't mean the First Doctor can't still have a Dalek story in there. Just Dodo can't run into them at the time.
There we go. We've cracked it, my boy.
Yeah, there we have it.
We've solved it, yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. Should we do rank? Well, I mean, you've already revealed your rankings, haven't you? In the
Yeah.
review, but yeah, I suppose for those who haven't seen, do you want to go through that again quickly?
I'd say The Outlaws, I'd give a good solid 8 out of 10. Very nice, fun historical story. But yeah, like you say, I think like the latter end of the story, it kind of drifts, sort of meanders towards the end, which I think that's just down to the length of the actual episode being like 40 minutes, but still really enjoyable, solid 8 out of 10 for me. That. How about yourself for The Outlaws?
Yeah, I would agree and go 8 out of 10 as well, really. I think it's just a good bit of fun that I can see myself sticking on again and enjoying vibe of, really.
And then I think The Miniaturist is a story what flips 62 as we all know it. And I think having the Doctor and Dodo in somewhat contemporary Earth sort of makes you sort of go, oh, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel natural. And I think that completely fits what The Miniaturist is going for as a story.
Maybe because I'd listened to The Ravencliff Witch not long before, it sort of gave me that similar vibe of it being by the sea and such. And so I almost got a Inchcliffe feel to the story as well.
Yeah, it does have that, yeah. A bit Pertwee as well, in a way, having a lot of the mining sort of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and so like the Doctor examining and then the scientist's research as well. That's quite
I loved having that sort of joy of that scientistness of Hartnell's Doctor come out in that. It was good, really good.
I think it's brilliant how small the cast is for that story, actually. It's only Stephen, Lauren, and then 3 others, I believe. You got obviously Annette Badland giving a brilliant performance as the miniaturist herself. This fascinating, I don't know even how you would describe, I mean, being, I suppose.
You want to say like an elder god thing, like you'd see with like Fenric and sort of stuff, Celestial Toymaker, one of those, one of like the Eternals in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, she's given a brilliant performance there. And quite sympathetic as well. Like there's a lot more layers than you'd expect to that. And I think that's something that has come from Big Finish a bit more, the fact that we can move with the times. You wouldn't necessarily get a layered character like that as a villain in the 60s, I don't think. I mean, in the 60s, you probably wouldn't have even got a villain played by a woman. So
yeah, it's very sort of, I guess, black and white in a way in how things are. But yeah, I like that. So I think Miniaturist, I'd give it 8.5. I had a good time with that one.
Yeah, I'd probably stick with 8 again, and then obviously 8 for the whole box set, really. I'm looking forward to where things go there. I mean, could we even see the Daleks in the next box set? Who knows?
I mean, it could be already in production, as we know.
Yeah, and hopefully because we know we're getting one next year. Hopefully they do up it to at least 2 box sets a year eventually.
I hope so, because that's what happened with Tim. And I think because of how much love and effort's going into these box sets, it feels only right. That there is that, really.
Yeah, and if Stephen Noonan and Lauren Cornelius are happy to record more than once a year, then go for it.
Because it's like Tim, that you listen to how when Tim first started and where he's at now, it's only gonna get better, isn't it?
Yeah, I think with every range you got to find your feet first, and this one has maybe not quite hit the ground full on running, but it's hit the ground with a brisk jog.
There's a strong foundation for the next set of stories, I'd say.
Yeah, agreed.
It's in a good place to build on what it's already got.
It's not like there are obvious flaws to iron out. It's just that it can then get better from here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so looking forward to what we get next for the First Doctor Adventures. And I think it suits this relaunch to have this fresh feel for the First Doctor, having a new actor step into the role and really bringing forwards that Hartnellness, I suppose, that was lacking with the Bradley box sets, because, as we say, that's very much his own take on the First Doctor, and it's a brilliant take on the First Doctor, but it's good to bring in a slightly more authentic First Doctor with Stephen and now have these two side by side, because they have said plans for more Bradley box sets are on the way as well.
And I think with the early adventures, they're great and all. We're a big advocate of them. But it has the narration, so I know that that's not going to be for everyone. And I know that even now people are still on the fence about the recast, but I'm all about keeping the Doctor's eras alive, because somewhere out there, Hartnell's their Doctor, and it's important that they can connect to that figure and it just not get faded away,
Yeah, it's nice
Gotta-
to know that these Doctors can keep going, and that spirit of the original lyrics is very much being carried forward with these new actors.
They're made with love, and I think that's the important thing. People need to realize that they're not doing it for the sake of it. They're doing it for the love of the show and the love of the character and the love of the actor who played the titular character.
Yeah, and also the love of the stories that can be told
Oh,
with
yeah.
these characters. Like, there's no point in writing off any possible idea for this era just because we don't have the original actors here. And oftentimes, going full cast for it is the way to really get the most out of some of these stories. Some stories will suit more prose style, more narrated, and that's what the audio novels and short trips are now for. It seems like Big Finish are sort of stepping away from that halfway house that we had with Companion Chronicles and early adventures. It's now very much this solid line between here's your full cast stuff, here is your narrated stuff. And so I suppose that is sort of removing that friction with new audiences, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember certainly when I first got into Big Finish, also like just before I got into Big Finish, when I was thinking about it, I wasn't 100% sure where all that fell. Like, was there narration in these stories? Because I remember with the Fourth Doctor adventure, White Ghost, there's a short period of narration in that, isn't there, where Leela is hacking away at the roots, and it's all like her internal monologue. And I remember because that was the whole third series, sorry. I'm getting first and third mixed up a lot today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Of the Fourth Doctor adventure. It was my first series of the Fourth Doctor adventures. There we go. That's how I'm getting around. That's my loophole.
There we go. There you go. All right.
Yeah. When I was reading reviews for that, I saw one that mentioned that bit of narration. And that led me to think, wait, is this something that's part of all Big Finish? Because I hadn't quite dived in yet. And so I think it is important for new listeners, like new potential customers, to have that clear division now. And as much as I love the early adventures in particular, I think this is a worthy successor in a worthy way to carry on that legacy in a different way.
I think you've beautifully summed it up there.
Yeah.
Because I think that is a thing when you dive into Big Finish, you're all about, hey, there's McGann, that's cool. And then you dive a little bit deeper and go, okay, let's try out because when we were getting into Big Finish, it was very much the first 3 Doctors were confined to Companion Chronicles. The early adventures were just kicking off. So you kind of had to sort of ease yourself into the audio medium to get ready for these the narration, really. And now that we've sort of got rid of, they've been eased out, and now we're getting box sets like the Outlaws, I think that it's more enticing for people to go, okay, so this is just a solid audio drama, and I think lockdowns probably had a thing to do with it, in the sense that the rise of people listening to things like podcasts, like the radio industry was booming because, hey, you can record it at home. You don't have to worry about all that logistics of it, really. So I think that's why there's probably been a bit more of a boom within it.
Yeah. Also, Stephen's just come out with something very interesting in the chat. Before we get on with the next lot of Hartnell, I'll be playing a villain in a Pertwee story we're recording on Monday. So that's very exciting to hear.
I'm excited even more now.
Yeah. That's it. I imagine that'll be the volume out in October.
Or next year, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be, actually, because we got one slot in February. Thank you for that little tidbit there, Stephen Noonan. That's very exciting to hear.
I appreciate it.
I think, especially when you listen to the interviews as well, you hear how different his voice is from his Hartnell voice. So I wonder, what else can your voice do? What else can you gift us there when it comes to a villain for a Pertwee story?
Maybe Roger Delgado. Be nice.
Oh, mate.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
I think more likely a original villain, but
let's see. Very exciting.
Could it be a human villain, or could it be an alien villain?
Let the
That's it.
speculation
Yeah,
begin.
there we go. Lots
Let
to
the
think about
speculation
there.
begin. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, the Outlaws, just great fun, great way to start. If you haven't picked this one up yet, I'll probably get bullets by Briggs now. We'll keep our
Don't
mouth
worry.
shut. Everyone in
Your
the chat,
secret's safe with us.
do not let this leak.
We'll your secret is safe with us. Oh. No, but I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah. Have you got your physical copy yet, Stephen? Because I know they send it out to all the actors and crew involved as well. Because my copy of The Outlaws arrived today in the post, and I love seeing that artwork in person because it very much feels like this chalk artwork on a black piece of paper. If that makes, I've messed up what I was trying to say there, but
Yeah.
I said it much better earlier. But
Yeah. It's all right. It's fine.
Yeah. It's a wonderful little physical piece to have in the collection now.
Yeah, I'm excited to get my copy when it finally drops through that letterbox. It's exciting.
Right.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully tomorrow for you.
Hopefully tomorrow, yeah, I can do like a little shelf update of all the CDs there. That'd be very cool. Just got to figure out where I'm going to put them now.
Yeah, it's got this charcoal vibe in person. That was the word I was looking for. But
yeah,
it's wonderful stuff. Ben Miller said, which monster from the revival era of Doctor Who would you want the first Doctor to face off against at Stephen Noonan? Yeah, we don't get any of the questions now that Stephen's here. They all just go through to him.
I mean, if Stephen wants to join us for one of these, for like an interview, be very cool. I'd love that to happen, but yeah.
We'd love to have you with us.
Yeah, it'd be very cool. But yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure.
But yes, but I mean, we'll sort of answer that question anyway because we have got classic Doctor's new monsters, so there is maybe the potential. Which new series monster do you think the first Doctor would work well with?
I feel like the Fisher King would be cool.
Oh, really?
I feel like the design fits 62 quite well. Or maybe I quite like the Gelf. Maybe that'd be quite cool.
I think it'd be quite fun to have Hartnell getting furious with a Jadoon.
First
Doctor having a.
Okay, I was trying to go what new monsters could we bring to the table, but that'd be cool. Or maybe like the Skifra, because they're like scavengers. And like that, like when he threatens like the Sensorite about retard, it's like, I don't make friends.
Oh, the Ood, because obviously the Sensorites, they're related.
Yeah,
so.
that'd be cool. Yeah, go to the Ood sphere. Yeah.
I love like maybe a more 60s rendition of the Ood on the cover. Maybe like meld it with the Sensorite design somehow and have it look like an Ood costume from the 60s. I don't know.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I doubt they probably wouldn't go down a route like that. It probably would just be an Ood on a cover. But
oh yeah.
But still, we can imagine
the origins of the Ood.
Because obviously, with a lot of new series with a lot of classic series monsters, we've seen new series updates for them. It'd be funny to almost see a
classic take.
I don't want to say downgrade because that sounds, but you know what I mean, like a classic rendition of some new Who monsters, what they could have done. I suppose Box, sort of like a classic rendition of a Weeping Angel. Maybe.
Yeah, I can see it. Little gargoyle chap.
Yeah, I mean, Weeping Angels, I'm not sure if it's the same for you, but they gave me a few nightmares when I was younger. So, shall we dive into Torchwood 1 nightmares?
What a segue. I'll load it up. It's an apology that I wasn't prepared for that segue.
These segues get more and more obscure by the day.
They really do. They really do. But that's the joy of this. So yeah, Torchwood Nightmares. Is it the 4th box set in the Torchwood saga?
Yeah,
Torchwood 1 saga. Do you want to give a little brief overview about the Torchwood 1 stuff?
I mean, I haven't really picked up any of it, to be honest. This was my first.
Damn, you've ruined my first question there. Damn.
I'm very sorry.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
I
of
mean,
doing
how
like a
long has
little
it been
cheesy
going
intro.
for now?
I think 2018. No, 2017 maybe.
Yeah, January 2017. So quite a while of these box sets. So yeah, we kicked off with Before the Fall. Then it was Torchwood 1 Machines, the War Machines sequel. And then Latter Days, and finally Nightmares, the most recent one.
Bada bing.
There we go.
So this is your first Torchwood 1 Nightmares. This is me using my presenting module skills to advantage.
Go for
So
it.
I will nod my head, because that's a technical term called noddies. So I will furrow my brow and nod my head in agreement to say that I am paying attention to what you're saying.
Yeah, make way for his noddies.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did
And
get
me
a
as a
first
guest.
in that.
I will get some jokes in there as well.
Oh, get the witty anecdote.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's something funny to say about this boxer, or else, gosh.
I will say there is, but we'll get around to that very shortly.
So, Torchwood 1. What would you say is the sort of overall consensus of the box set? What's the premise? How does it flow? Does it work?
I'd say it is a very good box set. I really did enjoy this one. I wasn't quite sure what to expect going into it, because as you can see with the cover, it's very horror vibe. It's very much going for that Nightmares feel. But to be honest, that's only really the first story that has that vibe to it. They sort of all fit into the theme of nightmares in one way or another, but not necessarily in that way you would expect with the full-on horror of it. That's more the first story by Tim Foley, who says it is the most effed up thing he has ever written when it comes to Torchwood, I believe, or sort of words to that effect. I may have misquoted him slightly there. I'm not too sure about. I think it's probably on a par with Night of the Fendal, his first Torchwood scripts. I think they are on that similar level of messed upness to them, and so they are both uncomfortable listens in that sense. But yeah, Torchwood 1 itself very much set before the Army of Ghosts / Doomsday stories. And so is Yvonne Hartman at the height of her powers. Torchwood is this massive operation here. And you do get to dive into that a fair bit in the next two stories, like the size and scale of Torchwood, how they aren't this ragtag team anymore. They are this well-oiled machine, unlike my voice, as you can hear, instead. And I think that presents some interesting story opportunities that aren't necessarily there when it comes to the Torchwood 3 stories that you get with Jack and the gang. So here you instead have Yvonne Hartman at the top of Torchwood, sort of barking down orders to the ranks, and with that you have Yanto as her assistant, and he's great here. It's great hearing this younger Yanto, in a way, played by Gareth David Lloyd. And so you get a different side to him there. And
what do you think that pairing brings out?
I'd say it brings out maybe a more subservient nature in Yanto. I think you sort of, because with the Torchwood series itself, that's where he comes out of himself a bit more and is able to stand up to people. Whereas here, he's very much under her heel in a lot of senses. But he does have moments of standing up for himself as well in the second story in particular. That's where things get a bit more interesting with characters. You don't quite know what's going on with them. People are acting out of character, and there's a good reason for that. And I think a great sci-fi concept in this is real at the end. It's a good mystery piece, that second one. But yeah, I think it's fun hearing this different side to Yanto, and it's also nice having him there as this friendly face. It brought me happy memories of listening to The Grey Mare last Christmas. So yeah, it's nice having him here. But he's sort of like got more of a cushion to fall on, in a sense. He's no longer out on his own. struggling.
He's got a safety net.
Yeah, that's the way to put it. So I enjoyed having him here, and he is sort of like a safety net for me listening to this, because I know Yvonne, but it's different having her in this environment, because on TV, she doesn't get to go into that more adult side of things, whereas this being Torchwood, there is more swearing, more adult themes here. And so, yeah, I think it's interesting to explore that, because she's very much still the same character for the most part in one story in a set. Like I say, with the second one, she is acting out of character a bit, but that's deliberate. That's part of the plot. And so I think that's interesting. Whereas Yanto, it's the same Yanto we know anyway, but slightly more younger, slightly more green.
Is the box set itself, does it have like an arc? Is it more character arc, or is it more story arc, or is it like 3 very much separate stories but with an overall theme? If you know what I mean.
Very much 3 separate stories.
Okay.
And in a way, an overall theme. Like we said, Nightmares, the title of the box set, but it's not the same type of nightmares each time. Like the first story by Tim Foley, My Guest Tonight, you'd think from the synopsis and the trailer that'd be Yvonne's nightmare, and there's something fishy about this TV presenter. But actually, it's very much told from his point of view. John Coleshaw is a tour de force in this story. He is the leading man of that first episode, and it's his nightmare that we are experiencing alongside him, and we are peeling the layers away of his character, while some strange things keep going on with Yvonne throughout it.
I mean, if you were to compare John Coleshaw's TV host, what TV host is he like?
I'm not really well versed enough in TV hosts.
Oh,
really
go on,
say,
give it a
afraid.
try. Give it a try. Give it a try.
I don't know. So I'm seriously not.
Is he like a Jonathan Ross? Is he?
No, I think he's leaning more into the TV hosts before our time.
Okay, so like a
Like he
sort of
does
a 70s type of thing.
Yeah, because like this is set during 2005.
Okay.
So he sort of is channeling more of those 70s, 80s, 90s TV hosts.
Did he have like a
more.
northern accent? Because I feel like that's sort of traditional sort of.
Yeah, I think he does. But he's very much putting on a voice throughout it, which is just John Coulter as a whole. I don't think you ever hear his normal voice in an audio. Like whenever I hear him on the extras, he sounds completely different. Like sometimes you don't. Yeah.
I was going to do a rubbish
in the story.
game show impression, but I'll leave that.
Oh, sorry.
Hello, welcome to Play Your Cards Right. Today, we've got a lovely game for you to play. There we go. Game show host can do that. Put it on the CV. But yeah, carry on.
And that's definitely the creepiest story of the box set. That is where we get the full-on nightmare that John Coleshaw's character, Nigel Best, is going through. And there's this nice little witty gag he has where it's like, I'm Nigel Best, but we can do better than that. It's like his catchphrase on the TV show. So I think they've channeled that sort of thing very well there.
Would you say it's like jump scary sort of horror, or more psychological horror?
Definitely psychological. Like this story is very out there in its structure and style, and there's a very creepy scene involving some knocking, where at first John Coleshaw's character thinks it's someone's knocking on the front door, but no, it's actually a door upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also a creepy marionette doll in there as well. So
nothing says horror like a marionette doll.
Yeah. So yeah, it goes into that a lot more. It's sort of like this. It is literally a nightmare. It sort of has that nightmare logic in some sense.
It's a bit like the War Master sort of dream vibe, sort of dream sort of thing.
And
is
this,
it
similarly actually to that and the Miniaturist, this doesn't have a title sequence, or at least a traditional title sequence, or title music.
Is it more like leaning into the chat show type intro?
Yeah, it is very much a Torchwood motif for about 5 seconds. It's like this chat show intro as Yvonne walks onto the stage, as it were, and that's pretty much your intro to this. So again, you're thrown out of your comfort zone, and it feels wrong and weird because of that. You don't have that safety net of the intro to lean you into it. It feels wrong from the start, and that works very well. And yet you feel trapped throughout it, similar to what the character's going through. And
It's a bit like a Quiet Night sort of thing with Joe Grant and the War Master.
Yeah, it does have that. There's a lot of geographical layouts not making sense as characters, or well, the character of Nigel goes from one place to another. Things aren't quite playing out the way they should. And he's a very interesting character. I can't say too much because that is very much what the story is about. It's about peeling away the layers of his character.
So he's an onion.
Very much so.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it'll make you cry by the end of it, though. It's not that.
Okay. Yeah. More like tears of fear.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay. All right. So
it leaves you with a chill at the end, though. I think.
Right. Okay. So we've got
Lola.
Lola.
Or perhaps not a chill. Perhaps an incredible amount of heat.
Right. We'll move on. I think that's a good place to leave that one.
You may know what I'm on about there, but
okay.
Yeah, it sends a shiver down the spine. Does that first story?
Does Lola have that same effect?
Well, I think first we'll dive back into the chat quickly.
Okay.
Stephen Noonan has said the Vashta Narada as a choice for a monster from the new series for the first Doctor to go up against.
That would be good, actually. Yeah.
I think they fit the 60s, don't they?
They do, yeah. You can see
they're cheap and easy to do.
Well, you can see it sort of being. I swear there's like a lost story what they did a couple of years ago for Dark Planet. That would have been perfect for the Vashta Narada, wouldn't it? Really, something like that. That'd been cool. Yeah. Or maybe sort of like a massive Luxor thing. That'd be cool, like that space futuristic vibe. Yeah, be cool.
Or maybe even like historical. Vashta Narada, and I think they quite fit.
What historical place would you put them
in? I don't. Yeah, maybe like a haunted house style story, like back in the late Victorian times. Perhaps that'd fit them. Yeah. But I think maybe leaning more into 50, maybe leaning more into 60s. I think, probably a space station or something would be.
Or it's like the new Black Death, the shadows of the darkness. Yeah, maybe that'd be cool.
That could be,
twist on the Black Death.
Yeah, that could even be the title.
Yeah, see, genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Payne Sideman says, "Whoa, is that the real Stephen Noonan?" Yes, it is.
We've been blessed.
It is Payne Sideman, and if I may say, if you have pain, sir, you are probably malfunctioning. Indeed.
Having an emotion, sir.
I mean, he's that Sideman is throwing up there in your profile picture. So,
it's all good.
Stylish one says, if you like this set, Luke, check out Before the Fall. It's one long story, but it's brilliant, never drags, has amazing humor, great characters, and superb twists. Such a great set. And Stylish one also asked for recommendations for the recent batch of out of print audios. I think we'll try and remember that and get around to it when we get to that. We'll probably cover that part of the news. Stephen also said, Vashta Narada, ideal for radio, and you could put them anywhere. I mean, it's even part of their appeal that Stephen Moffat came up with, like their pitch in a way, is that they can be anywhere. It's like that idea that they are in most shadows, even on Earth, roadkill.
The dust, isn't it? When you see sort of like speckles of dust in the air, like in the sunlight, that's for Vashta Narada. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's what Stephen Moffat done really well, wasn't it? Taking everyday things, even a puddle, and making it possibly creepy. It's making you look twice. I mean, that's the whole appeal of the Weeping Angels in particular. It's like not every statue, but any statue. And it's got that great ending, Blink, doesn't it? Where it's the 10th Doctor talking about all the different statues.
The montage,
yeah.
But I think that's when Doctor Who works at its best, really, isn't it? When it takes something from our everyday and twists it against us and turns it. I think that's when it works at its best.
Yeah, even Stephen Noonan says Moffat's the 21st century Robert Holmes. And I was just thinking Terror of the Autons by Robert Holmes does that with the before that even Spearhead did that with shop window dummies, and then Terror of the Autons took that further and did it with plastic daffodils, plastic chairs as well. That's everything plastic as a whole.
Yeah, I think Terror of the Autumn just heightened everything Spearhead did.
Very much so. It's taking that concept of living plastic and going one step further with it. Like, how much more dangerous can the world be if plastic was out to get us?
And it's become sort of, yeah, it'd be interesting now because we're sort of phasing out plastic. So do the Autons have a place now? That'd be interesting.
I feel like phasing out plastic is going to take a fair while.
Yeah, but there's all about sort of reuse and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know.
But even then, we're still like getting different kinds of plastic, aren't we? I think Lego is very much experimenting with recycled plastic, like from more biodegradable sources. I believe they did some green pieces that were made from leaves or something rather than crude oil. So
okay.
And Keith quickly asks, I don't know if you've spoken about it because I've missed a few streams, but what did you think of Peladon? Is it worth picking up at pre-order price? So yeah, would you say it's worth picking up at pre-order price?
I'd say
how long it's going to last.
I'd say for pre-order price, yeah. I think it's an interesting bunch of stories. Megan singing the Venetian lullaby is an absolute treat and probably worth the box set just for that, really.
Yeah, I agree.
It's really good.
I think you're getting 4 stories there, so it depends how it's not too much Doctor Who. If that the Doctor's only really in the last 2 episodes, so it depends how deep you are into the Big Finish rabbit hole at this point. It's probably not a great one if you're early on in it, but if you're quite deep into it, then it's worth picking up, especially if you like those original Peladon stories.
Yeah.
And Sturgeon also says Big Finish can make anything work on audio. They made Autons and even Weeping Angels work on audio. They can make anything work. Yeah. And thank you, Sturgeon, for looping us back round to Torchwood 1 here. He asked my
okay.
Torchwood 1 member. Yeah, he's after your job. He's getting the talk show host.
Oh, there we go.
There.
Take my job. Take my place.
Yeah, there we go. I'd probably say Yanto, I guess, is my favourite character from the box set. But if we're going exclusively Torchwood 1 characters, then Tommy is quite a good character. Yeah, he's played by Timothy Benedict. He's the 3rd one credited on the cover.
He's gonna have a good story. Is it like the 3rd box set where it's like exploring him a bit more?
I didn't even realise he was in all the other box sets, to be honest. When I was listening to this, it does give you a fairly good start on who his character is. You don't feel like you're at a loss with him. You just get he's the head of alien acquisitions, and it's a good jumping on point for his character, at least I found. And yeah, I think I really did like him. He's an interesting character in this. And so one of the highlights of Lola itself. So yeah, ask away.
What's it about? What's it about? Who is Lola?
In a way, it's a regular day at Torchwood, but there's a coffee mug that shouldn't be there. And so Yvonne and Yanto are a bit perplexed by this. And after running some tests, it's found that there was retcon in it, which is a agent that makes people lose memory. And so someone has drugged Yvonne to lose her memory. But who and why? And so from there, it's this mystery that unfolds layer by layer. And so I think it is a very fun story, I'd say. It very much took me back to that feel that Torchwood had during Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. It's set entirely within Torchwood 1 itself. It's like a day at the office, but a very unusual day at the office, to say the least. And so I loved imagining all those different sets, like the white lab coats and stuff. I think, yeah, it just brought me back to 2006 watching those stories, really. And it's also just a good story in itself with an interesting sci-fi idea revealed at the end of it. Like, it takes a while for it to reveal precisely what's going on, but it doesn't lose you before that. You're still interested in what this mystery is. And it kind of wraps up quite neatly. It was the one that I was least interested in when it came to this box set, and so it surprised me the most, and may even be my favorite from the box set. I'm not sure. I think these are all very solid stories. They're very much on the same level, I would say.
So it's very much the underdog story then, really. So would you say it's...
Oh, that is I can't say too much, but underdog
okay.
is, funnily enough, a very apt way to describe Lola.
All right, okay. I'll leave that question there then.
Yeah, anyone who's listened, again, will know what I'm talking about there.
Would you say it's the most authentic sort of story of the box set? Because the first one sounds like it's trying to go, hey, let's do something a bit crazy, a little bit different. This is sort of bringing the reins back and going, this is sort of your traditional Torchwood adventure.
Yeah, I suppose so. Especially Torchwood 1. I imagine this is how a lot of the earlier box sets feel as well. And so, yeah, I'd probably say authentic in that sense, as far as I would know. I think I listened to this box set.
Does it pull at the heartstrings?
Not too much.
In terms of horror, how does the horror sort of play into it?
I'd say there isn't necessarily much horror in this.
Okay.
It's more a nightmare in a different sense. So, yeah, again, slightly more psychological, but not necessarily psychological horror or psychological intrigue.
So the third story by James Goss, is it funny? Is it dark? How would you sum it up?
Definitely a black comedy. It's both
Black
funny
comedy.
and dark, this one. All set in a hotel room, similar to another story by James Goss, The Red List, I listened to with Ace and Mr. Colchester. And funnily enough, features the same enemy in it, the Unity, which I thought I'd heard their name before while listening to the story, and then it clicked with me they were in The Red List as well. I believe they're the only two stories it is in. So it does have a similar feel to that, but it is doing something different. You're thrown right into the deep end with this, as is Yvonne. This is very much her nightmare. She's woken up in bed with the heir to the throne beside her, and he is dead. He has a knife in his back, and so things just keep spiraling out of control from there. She calls in Yanto to give her a hand with this to try and work out what's going on. And so Yanto is sort of more on her side. He believes her. He believes she didn't kill him. But Yanto's also called in Tommy from Acquisitions, the character played by Timothy Benedict. And he is not quite as convinced as to Yvonne's innocence here. And so like the nightmare in this sense is that it is Yvonne's worst nightmare where things just keep going out of hand. It's not sort of like the scary nightmare, it is the stress nightmare. It is the turning up to school and you forgot to put your trousers on nightmare. It is that sort of craziness. And yeah, there's a lot of almost faulty towers moments in this with the cleaning staff turning up and quick, get the body into the bath, quick, get the body into the cupboards. There's a lot of fun moments like that. I did have quite a few laugh out louds during this story.
So it's a nice way to sort of wrap up the box set then, really.
Yeah, you end the box set with a smile on your face. I think it's well structured. You dive in with the story probably most people buy it for. So like the very intriguing psychological story. You have a nice slice of regular Torchwood, but done very well, like very much Day at the Office style. And then you have balls to the wall craziness with less majesty.
Would you say it's a highlight of the Big Finish release catalogue so far?
I'd say it's pretty solid. I wouldn't say it's quite a highlight, but it ranks very highly for me.
Is it a box that you can see yourself revisiting?
Maybe at some point.
because I have not bought it.
Yeah.
Would you say go out and pick it up, or would you say wait until it drops in price and it goes on sale?
I would probably say maybe go out and buy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because certainly, I mean, when it does go on sale, it's just going to go back to pre-order price for a while now. I
That
imagine.
is true.
But yeah, I mean, you were thinking of maybe picking up the whole lot, weren't you?
Yeah, because they were all on sale, but now
They're no longer.
They're no longer on sale, so
We've just run out of time.
just ran out of time, and that's just like this interview. We've run out of time, so thanks everyone for joining for Finnish Talks. We'll see you next time for whatever we'll be talking about.
Yeah.
And
But this is not. This is not
not the end.
goodbye. Just the end of this little segment.
Merely a footnote into our next one.
I mean, with last thing on this box set, similar to me, if you are thinking of going into this without the rest of Torchwood 1, it is a very good jumping on point. I didn't feel lost at all in this set. So yeah, it is easy to pick up and dive into. I don't know even whether the whole Torchwood 1, maybe Stylish 1, you can answer this one for us. The whole Torchwood 1 range does take place chronologically, like each box set follows on from the next, or if it's something more similar to the War Master, where say the Before the Fall is literally the last adventure they have before Army of Ghosts / Doomsday takes place. I wonder if you could enlighten me as to that.
I mean, Stylish One did say, "Are you going to pick up any more Torchwood 1 sets?"
Maybe. I'll say maybe the next back on sale since we've missed that window.
Does Wotan interest you? The War Machine's return?
I've heard that's the weakest of the Torchwood 1 ones, actually.
Okay.
Sturgeon also says, Tommy is a brilliant character. He's so funny and snarky and nihilistic in Before the Fall. He was the highlight of the first step, along with the cliffhanger and Kral reference. Oh, very interesting.
Speaking of Kralls,
yeah, thank you for that, Sturgeon. You've set us up there.
What another good segue. So this is not only sort of 2022 is the year of let's bring Big Finish sort of back to, I don't know why it's doing this, back to all basics in terms of this sort of stuff.
Oh, you've got to confirm you're not an Android duplicate.
I'm not an Android duplicate. Those boats.
You're failing.
I didn't even read it, to be honest. I was just like, why does it come up? This is not a good time to be doing this. Of all the times, it's decided to go, I am not a... There we go. I'm not an Android. It's fine.
Your face isn't going to fall off.
It's not going to fall off. So, yeah. The relaunch, it's happening. It's all great. It's all stripping things back to basics. But we've had a slight sort of hiccup. We've had the return of the Unbounds.
For the first time since 2008, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, unless you count the New Adventures of Bernie stuff with David Warner. But that's not really Unbound, is it?
That's folding it into the main continuity.
Which they still need to pick up on, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I did realise that this year is actually the 30th anniversary of Bernie Summerfield as a character. Like Love and War, the original novel came out 1992, so got to do something for that.
I mean, that'll probably be September if we find anything about Bernice.
Yeah.
Feels only right to. I mean, I think there are plans for more David Warner stuff with her, which is great because I love David Warner.
Yeah, maybe it's finally time to cross over with the Seventh Doctor now that Sylvester's back in studio.
That'd be very cool. But before we get to that timeline, we have the Doctor of War Genesis. A release I was actually quite excited for because it just seemed like such an interesting idea. And it's one of those sort of niche things, but you're just like, my fan heart just wants to experience this. So what did you make of Doctor of War? Did it deliver?
I mean, it delivered for about 15 minutes, maybe. I didn't, like, it was a very strong start with that recreation of Genesis of the Daleks. And I think, to be fair, the first episode I did really like for the most part.
I think it is the best episode of the three. The first episode.
Going back to Iridius from The Chase, some very interesting stuff going on with the Sixth Doctor. He's sort of having these flashbacks, time's not quite working as you would expect. Like he's walking across the desert of Iridius, and then suddenly it's time's a bit out of joint. It feels like he's been walking for days, but they arrive somewhere in seconds. It's a very weird story, and
think it's a
it gets weirder from there.
I think it's a nice sort of having Iridius is sort of a nice riff on like the War Doctor when we first see him like in Day of the Doctor, him walking to the barn on sand, and there's a lot of sand in this box set. But I think, like you say, the first 7 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever, are some of the best sort of Big Finish in a way, because it really proves, oh wow, this is Unbound with what it does to characters. Like, yeah, it can kill anyone off. This is Unbound. Nobody's safe, you know. So I like that, really.
Yeah, like that's very much the premise for this, isn't it? It's what if the Doctor thought he did have the right? Where would it go from there? And unfortunately, I feel like they don't necessarily explore that beyond this. Like, we don't pick up straight after that regeneration. We don't get a post-generation story. We don't get his descent into what happens next. It sort of throws you into the deep end a lot more after that. And I don't know whether we floated or sank, really.
I think Doctor Who's an interesting one in the sense that I really enjoyed it sort of surface level. I really enjoyed what was going on. You know, there's some really lovely moments, great themes, especially in the last story. I know I'm jumping the gun, but like the whole moral ambiguity about once you take a life, you kind of have no sort of say of that. That really like great sort of moral questioning and sort of stuff. But I think when you sort of ask us to try and explain it, what this set's about, I'm gonna struggle, to be honest. It's a it's a set what it wrestles with you. And I think that because Big Finish has done so much Time War stuff since they've had the new series license, I think that this is probably the best, one of the best examples of them doing the Time War, because it's really going all out with these high sort of.
It's going very high
ideas.
concept, isn't it? Very weird with time. But at the same time as that, it's like, because we are mere mortals, we can't quite comprehend some of the things that they're trying to do with it, maybe.
I think as well, it's 50% of a series. So it's like one of those things where, well, I'll see what it's like when Destiny arises, and then we can go from there.
I think the problem is as well, is that because we have this mini series here, you were thinking, okay, this is a chance to really explore what we can do with an Unbound series. Like, we start at this familiar point and then branch out from there. You know, it's like that butterfly effect. As more and more time passes, things get different. But this set doesn't really do anything with that, because each episode feels like it's throwing you in at a different point, and it's hard to really make sense of it, because oftentimes it feels like each episode is from its own box set, and you've not got the rest of the jigsaw pieces for that particular episode.
Yeah, it's like you put the CD in the wrong case.
Yeah.
And
like, you can sometimes see what they're trying to go for, but then you're just like, why?
I think the first story's probably got the most sort of interesting sort of premise, because it tries and does something. You know, we've got Perry in there, and this is the thing. Like, there's multiple iterations of Colin Baker's sort of Doctor.
Yeah, and that's the other. It's sort of hard to grasp the status quo of this, even with the Doctor himself, because they're very much playing with that a lot.
You know, is it like traditional Sixth Doctor with Perry, when, you know, they're sort of sensing the time distortions, or is that the Warrior? It's an interesting one, really, because there's a whole sort of thing that the Warrior wants to erase the other Doctors and him be the only one in the timeline. And I think it gets a little bit sketchy with that, because are we visiting all these other versions of the Doctor, and then Destiny we're gonna have him fulfill what he's been thinking about? You know, maybe we're getting these little snapshots, and then it's all gonna loop back in Destiny. It's one of those ones you can't really predict at the minute.
Yeah, I suppose it could all come together quite nicely in Destiny. We'll have to see. But yeah, certainly it doesn't really feel like there's anywhere for it necessarily to go. If that,
Yeah,
I'm
there's
sure
no
there
sort
are.
of overarching thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no sort of cliffhanger here. Like the end of this episode feels like the end of any other episode in the set. Oh, yeah. I don't know quite where we'll pick up with Destiny, because there is like no real continuity in that sense to where things pick up. Yeah, it's an odd one, but it's got a lot of great concepts and a lot of moments I enjoy.
I love the stuff like Iridius being, I don't, this might be spoiled, like a sand timer. I love that.
Yeah, that was very weird. That was very out there.
I really enjoyed that. I was like, oh, that's really clever.
I love the twins. That concept of a Dalek with multiple Daleks mutants in a single case. Like that was brilliant. Well performed as well. And yeah, that gives you quite a terrifying Dalek, I would say.
I think the idea of the Daleks having time travel because of the time ring being left, that's an interesting little plot point.
Yeah. But is that even the case in the main timeline? Because that seems to have taken place in the separate timeline of episode 2.
This is a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, like there's hardly any Daleks in this set. Don't go in expecting
standard Time War stuff.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Like, it's only really... Like, you only really get the bunker Daleks, and then the twins, and that's about it. Like, there's no Daleks in the third story. That's a Kroll story. You get a little bit in the first story with a Dalek sorcerer. They never answer that in that first set. There's like that mystery. What's that Dalek sorcerer doing there? But it never comes up in the rest of the box set. So we'll see what box set 2 brings us.
Just have to wait and see.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to like, but I'm just struggling to really see what it's going for at the moment. I will praise the music and the soundscape for this, though. It is one of the strongest I have heard in a Big Finish release. Like, I love the almost angel singing.
It's ethereal, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah,
and then the main theme as well is brilliant. I love that.
I think I prefer it to the Time War theme.
I definitely do.
It's nice, that sort of regeneration energy sort of start, and then more of a sort of a darker theme. Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's in that same vein as Damaged Goods and the main Time War theme, but I do prefer it to both of them. It's got real energy to it. So I think it's a very epic soundscape in general. I think that is achieved very well in this, and it sort of elevates this box set in that sense and gives it much more of this grand blockbuster feel to it with how epic that score is.
I mean, even the trailer that sort of the box set got, it just seems like a real hyped up release, really, doesn't it? Really good trailer for it as well.
Yeah, but so far it hasn't really delved into that. Like, we don't even get any of that Time War stuff and such.
No. I mean, Aftershocks, it kind of sort of links back with sort of the Dalek sort of stuff in a way. But that's very much sort of playing into Colin's sort of trial stuff. Jeffrey Beavers gets a nice little few bits to do in it. But yeah, there's not really much you can say within it, really.
No. Yeah, I think that one's definitely the hardest to talk about without spoiling.
Yeah. That is very true. Should we move on to the last story then?
Yeah, I guess so.
So we have The Difference Office by James Kettle. The Warrior is President. Or it's just old Colin, Curator Colin. This one, I definitely enjoyed the second half more, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe.
Um,
I think I enjoy a lot of what it's going for. I just feel like I've got no attachment to it at this point. Nothing's really sad. Like this is when we get Romana and Barusa thrown into the set.
mhm.
They're both very well played.
I do love the new Romana.
Yeah. I think Sanjeev Bhaskar, I believe is how his name's said.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is brilliant as Barusa. I think I quite like him as an actor anyway from Unforgotten. But yeah, he does a great job here. It feels like a very different Barusa though. Like this is a much less ruthless character, I suppose.
I mean, there is a ruthless moment because like I'm going to kill all the Shibugans.
Yeah, he does get that. Yeah,
But that feels a bit left field, like you say. Maybe I don't know.
But up until that point, he is like quite a He's very much like this character who's caught in the weight of his decisions. Like there's a lot of blood on his hands by association of being this high up in the Time Lords, but he's not. His heart's not in it, or his hearts, plural, aren't in it. But he's in too deep at this point to really leave that.
I mean, I think with Romana, it's sort of interesting that the Doctor and the Warrior, there's already a connection there, but they sort of reference it. But this seems like we're friends and stuff like that. So it's a bit of an interesting way, because whether that's sort of the original timeline sort of feeding into that. So
but is it a different timeline from that? Because we got so many other ones as
yeah,
well.
that is true. I think the Kralls are a lovely addition, actually.
Yeah, they work surprisingly well. And it's Stigron as well, the same Kral from the original Android Invasion. I think that was quite a nice what if for his character as he goes in a different direction.
I mean, I didn't have that on the 2022 bingo card sticker on Returns, but yeah, I'll take it.
It's a shocker. Yeah, I think very well played as well. It does feel true to the original performance. But as for Romana, what did you make of that recast?
I think she was the better out of the two. Out of like Barusa and Romana. I really, really liked it because there was a sort of a nice bite to her character, I feel, and I don't think I feel like she very much sort of channeled the more Mary Tam than Lala Ward. But I don't feel like she was like sort of. She very much felt like her own Romana.
Yeah. To me, I do wonder why they didn't get Lala Ward for this. Because since you're doing that what if anyway, it could have worked.
But yeah.
But she does just feel almost like she could have been a generic Time Lord, really. Other than you say in those moments where it's like, I feel like we may know each other or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't. Yeah, to me, she felt enough like Romana. I think it's a very well performed role, but I just think in terms of the story itself, I don't know whether she needed to be Romana.
Or left field, you have Louise Jameson, maybe.
Yeah, that could be an interesting one.
That'd have been an interesting one.
Maybe she could have been with the Shibugan somehow.
Yeah, that'd have been interesting, yeah.
I loved a interpretation of those as going in very hard on the hippie side of things. I like having a Sixth Doctor with his colourful coat leading the march of these hippies. There's something very good about that image.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, on the whole, it's a very mixed bag, this box set, and I think certainly not for beginners. I think even though it feels like something that a lot of new people into Big Finish would be interested in, like this what if the Fourth Doctor had wiped out the Daleks instead. You don't necessarily get that in this box set anyway. Like that's the starting point, but it very quickly spirals out from there and goes in some crazy directions, which hopefully makes sense in the second box set. But for now, I think it's a waiting game, really. It's like seeing how.
It's like 40. You can't properly go whether it's a success or not because you've only got half of the jigsaw, really. But from, like I said, surface level stuff, there's so many good bits within it.
Great
then it's
performances, great
great
lines.
performances.
Yeah. It's just the overarching plot, or lack thereof in some ways, where this starts to fall apart for me.
I can agree with that.
So, I suppose that's it for the reviews.
Yeah,
that's been give a we haven't given ratings for this one.
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Yeah. I didn't give ratings for Torchwood 1 actually, but too late now.
We can gloss over that.
Oh yeah, I'll go. What is it? My guess tonight, 9 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Lola, 8 out of 10. And Less Majesty, 7 out of 10. There we go.
So what would you give Dust Devil?
Maybe a 7.
I'd go an 8 for that one.
No. Aftershocks. 5 or 6. I don't know.
I'd say 6 or 7 for me.
No. The Difference Office, 6.
I'd go 7.
There we are.
There we are.
No, I do quite enjoy the experience of listening to a lot of it. It's just when I think back on a lot of it, I wonder what was going on there. What was?
I don't know if I was just passively listening to it, or I don't know. It's a weird one.
It's very hard to just get into it because, like we say, we don't have that status quo. You don't have anything to necessarily latch onto at first. So you more listen to it for intrigue in the hope that you find out what's going on.
Yeah, because you're like, I'm liking what I'm hearing, but don't ask me about the actual story. Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose on to the news now, and we've had a fair bit recently.
Yeah, we have had a fair little bit. I guess the main bit of news from when we last kicked off, I guess, in a way, is Classic Doctor's returns after a little 5-year hiatus.
Yeah, and coming back with some interesting choices here.
Very left field, I feel, in terms of like you don't naturally go Mox Bahoon, Dream Crabs, and the Tivolians from like Gold Complex.
Or Hawks of Balboon as a
Hawks.
It's not the Mox, it's the Hawks.
It's yeah, okay. But yeah, of course Colin's in it, because it is the year of Colin Baker. It feels only right. But we have the third Doctor. Something what if you go back to 2017 or whatever, we probably said we'd like to see the third Doctor in the next set of stories. Here he is.
Yeah, and look, it's like similar to him being in Legacy of Time. It feels like he's really made it now, Tim, as the Doctor, and he's sort of like on that same level that the original Doctors are now.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people complain about him being in it. So every time there's like a recast in a release, they're like, "Oh God, do I have to listen to him?" And they're like you saying, "Oh, it's their reason of making us experience a recast by putting them in with the other Doctors." I'm like, no, it's just there because there's a story with the third Doctor. It's nothing deep, just to cash in on it.
It's just a way to get a different classic Doctor with a new monster.
And I think, Legacy of Time, like you said, it brought people into the third Doctor Ventures, and that's why we've got 2 box sets now. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's really. Yeah, I mean, what did you make of classic Doctor's New Monsters coming back again? Because it felt like a range that had maybe served its purpose. Now that we were getting a lot of classic Doctors facing new monsters within their own sets anyway. Like we've got the Weeping Angels facing the Fourth Doctor in an upcoming Fourth Doctor Adventures box set. So in a way, it almost felt like this novelty had served its purpose. Like we had those first 2 box sets when the new series license was new, when they were finding exciting things to do about it while they were waiting to get more, especially like actors like David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston on board. It's like one of those first things they jumped on. But now, does it feel like it served its purpose, do you think? Or do you think there's still a place for it in Big Finish catalogue?
I think there's always going to be releases where it's for the newbies, for the new fans, I feel. And I think Classic Doctors and New Monsters is that range for people to go, hey, it's taking something familiar. I mean, in this case, you can say
Maybe
loosely
less so.
yeah, but it's. I think that's the best way to get into Big Finish. You take something familiar, whether that be your favorite Doctor or a monster you know. It gets you more into the story, more invested. So I think that these releases play its part in sort of stepping stones of getting people into Big Finish, into that world. So I think they do have a place. But I think for like us long-time listeners, there's still a buzz about it, going what's it going to be like. But you can say that they are a little bit gimmicky, maybe.
Yeah, but for me, a lot of the those first two box sets, it wasn't just classic Doctors facing new monsters. It was classic Doctors in new series style stories as well, because they are very much the 45-minute to hour-long format. It's not split up into parts, and it does have a bit more of a modern sensibility about it. And so that also works as a way to bring new fans in. And so I wonder if that sensibility is going to be carried on here, or if they are going to try and go more authentic, especially with the third Doctor, because with the third Doctor, you often feel like they're trying to be as authentic as possible. So will this have that feel to it? I suppose the Hawks of Balboon, as they're going for, is something they possibly could have achieved in the 70s. Like, you do have the Draconians being this very realistically believable alien species, don't you? In the makeup.
It does look like a thing you'd see on Paladin, like an ambassador.
Yeah. You could almost imagine it perhaps being similar to the grey species from Carnival of Monsters.
Yeah, you can see that. Yeah,
Have a similar makeup job.
Yeah.
So I think they
Sarah Jane.
Third Doctor and Sarah Jane. It was a shame seeing that we had the Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane in the same box set, but they're not in the same story.
That's Leela,
Yeah, but at the same time, I think with the is it Trevolians? Is that how it's?
yeah.
Yeah, with them being this much more cowardly species, it makes sense for Leela to go up against them, her being this warrior. And so I think you could get a nice contrast there. So I could see why they went for that. And and then finally, it's another doubling up instead of
the Dream Crabs.
Yeah, and you wonder, could those two stories tie into each other a bit?
I think having Charlie.
Yeah.
And I think that the Dream Crabs, I think, is such a left field one. I'm like, that's genius for McGann and Charlie, because I sort of would like them to do sort of like a human nature, family of blood type thing, where we explore them actually having that love and that relationship, because Scherzo is all about them like, no, I can't have that sort of thing, but I want them to really play with that sort of relationship sort of thing what they have.
Yeah, I think the Dream Crabs themselves are a very interesting idea, and they do very much suit that Eighth Doctor and Charlie style, don't they?
Yeah, very much so.
And then the Sixth Doctor's got a different companion in this, Mari.
That's Charlie.
Yeah, I imagine so. Well, something's certainly going on there. I don't think she's going to be sticking around. I don't think Colin's getting another new companion. I think
I think that's the code name for Charlie, I think, in the Sixth Doctor Adventures.
I thought it was Mila or something like that.
I could be mistaken, but I thought it was well, I don't know. No. I've not properly dived into the Sixth and Charlie stuff.
No, I can't. I think I did look it up before, and I'm pretty sure it was Mila, or Mila, or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, speaking of, we've got companions. That's another thing that we were.
Yeah, that's a nice little added thing.
Yeah, Doctor's New Monsters came around, because with those first sets, while it was okay having just the Doctor be solo, after a while you do sort of want companions there mixing with these new monsters as well. And
I mean, the Fifth Doctor did get a new companion in the Rakdos one, but that's not been touched.
No. So yeah, Third Doctor Sarah, Fourth Doctor Leela, and Eighth Doctor and Charlie, and then Sixth Doctor and Mari, or perhaps Charlie. Perhaps something's going on there. I don't know, but yeah. great set of writers as well. We got Tim Foley, who did wonderful work with the Third Doctor and Sarah last time in the Gulf. So I'm very happy
Yes,
to have
yeah.
him back with those two. That's what excites me a lot about that story, the Hawks of Balhoun. And then the Tivolian who knew too much, very much feels fitting for the Fourth Doctor Adventures, like them taking an Italian holiday or something. It feels like that series 4 or 5 style of story. It's
I
putting
can
me in
see that.
mind of Labyrinth of Buda Castle.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so I think that could be quite a good one. And then Adela in Eclectic Dreams by Roy Gill. What a brilliant title he's got there. And Roy Gill, always a winner with him. And finally, John Drawny from A Story by Jacqueline Rayner. It's a shame Jacqueline Rayner didn't get to write for the Eighth Doctor, because I don't believe she has before.
No, I don't think she has.
Yeah,
but she feels like she should have, because she's one of the early Big Finish writers, really.
Yeah. But I'm guessing with her maybe commitments to Sixth Doctor Adventures or something, she was originally penciled in to write this one, but then had to drop out and hand over to John Dawny. But John Dawny, always brilliant
Safe
stuff
pair of
from
hands.
him. So yeah, I'm sure this box set will come to a great close. So even though it's an odd collection of monsters, there's a lot of potential there for these stories to be great. Like reading the synopsis, there's not a single one that I'm not excited for.
And we've got another box set as well coming out, Broken Memories, in October. So
yeah, October 2023 though.
Yeah,
a bit of a while to wait, but yeah, that'll be right before the 60th anniversary. We'll know who the new Doctor is by then, and probably have seen a trailer for the 60th or two.
That's just a mental thought, isn't it?
Yeah,
mental thought. I mean, some people have already listened to it by the looks of it.
There you go. But yeah, Broken Memories. Do you think The Silence is a pretty solid bet?
I've seen a lot of people speculate it, and I'm genuinely surprised they haven't done more of The Silence on Big Finish. So, I mean, I could have forgot that they've done it with them,
Yeah, but no, it has just been unit silenced so far.
Yeah.
And that was quite a while back now, so certainly room to get them back in there.
I mean, definitely a pre-order. Definitely going to pick them up.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. And I think it's great. What is great about Classic Doctor's New Monsters, having that fourth box set be announced but not have any details yet, is that we can speculate as to what monster pairings are going to be there. And that's something that's fun about this range. With a lot of other ranges, you can speculate more wildly. But with this, it's going to be a Classic Doctor and a new monster. So it's like a fun guessing game, isn't it? And sometimes you can get it right. I mean, I doubt anyone's got this one right, but I feel like they're saving the heavy hitters for the fourth box set. I think the third box set was their way of getting some more obscure ones out of the way, but obscure ones that they could tell great stories with still. And then we save up the last box set for some heavy hitters. I think those are just copied and pasted over from the...
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, they're just copied and pasted over from Volume 3. I think that's
because I was going to say, if it's the same pairings, then cool.
I mean, I think hopefully Sylvester versus the Silenced.
Yeah, I'll be down
I think
for
that would... They seem like the right pairing there. And then hopefully the first or second Doctor in the box set as well.
Yeah, definitely would like that. I think it's like putting the third Doctor in the third volume. It's bringing more exposure to that Doctor. So I think it's a great way of getting people to try them out. It's like Legacy of Time. People tried it out, found out Tim was really good. Checked out the third Doctor catalogue.
It's like a sign that they've made it, isn't it? It's like they're no longer off in their own range. They're also part of the Big Finish family as a whole. And so, yeah, I think, like Stephen said in the chat earlier, the Bastion Rada would suit very well, either with the first or second Doctor. I think they suit the 60s equally brilliantly. And yeah, Stylish One says, best individual episode titles in the box set I've seen for ages. They're all so brilliant and pun-filled. I agree. I like those titles. I like that it's not what we had with Volume 2 and 1, or especially Volume 2, where it's just something of the insert new monster here. Because I'm pretty sure that was the case with every story in that sense, like Day and Night of the Vashta Narada, Empire of the Rachnos, and something of the Carrier Knights.
Was it the Carrier Knight Curse?
Oh yeah, it might be the Carrier Knight Curse. But yeah, it's that thing of it's the monster and then an adjective of it, or so. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, one last thing. There was some cover controversy with this one. What do you make of the cover we've got for Classic Doctor's New Monsters, the Stuff of Nightmares? The characters in a line there.
I really like the playing card one, to be honest, because it seemed to. It almost feels a bit of a shame that they lost what the first two box sets had. So I really like that sort of motif of having them sort of divided off. There's the Doctor, there's the monster. I think that was a real great way of putting all the characters on the box set segmented.
Yeah, whereas here it just very much feels like a pretty bland photo shoot of them all in a line. Like apparently part of the reason they didn't go for that card one, if you don't know what we're on about, Rafe, I can't remember his surname, the artist who did this cover. Let me have a Rafe Wallbank. Here we go. On Twitter, tweeted out some concepts he put out for different covers, and they both looked a fair bit better than what we ended up with. Not in execution, but more just in the format. Big Finish decided to go for here. And I think that's the thing to remember with covers. The cover artists don't necessarily have the final say. Like, they have a brief. Sometimes that brief might be a bit more stricter than others, and so they have to work within that, because a lot of times Big Finish wants certain things, but the way it's going to turn out on the cover, the format it's going to go for. Like the playing card one, they turned down because it didn't necessarily highlight the monsters enough. But I'd say this doesn't seem to highlight the monsters too much. Like, they're just sort of there, really. There's no action to them. There's nothing much exciting. They're just standing in a line alongside the Doctors. I mean, the Tavolian in the top there is very much hidden behind the third Doctor's shoulder, really. Like, you hardly notice him there. I think I like the Dream. The Dream Crab doesn't look too bad, but yeah, I think it's a well executed cover. But I'm not sure about the characters align nature of it. Like, it doesn't give anything much a chance to stand out. I like the way they've got around McGann's costume.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice little touch.
Yeah. Although, I think they've airbrushed an older McGann to make him look younger, so don't look too much at him, because it becomes a bit more and more Uncanny Valley.
No, Pertwee's terrible seemingly. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting use of the Daleks promo, but
I think it's nice to have a different Pertwee image, at least.
Yeah,
it's nice to get more of him on the cover than the usual stuff. But it's also a shame we don't get the companions there, but then maybe that would definitely be too busy. But
yeah, that'd definitely be overstuffed.
I feel like the way they could have done it would have been like the Peladon box set. How that's the main 5 characters, but then you've also got the 2 Ice Warriors like worked in underneath that. And so maybe they could have done that with the main 4 Doctors and then a couple of monsters below somehow, like on a different level. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad cover. It doesn't give you much in way of the story, because it's just a forest there. I don't know whether the stories are actually going to take place in a forest, or if that's just more for like the nightmare vibe of it. But
yeah, I say that.
And it's a shame no individual covers this time around.
Yeah, that's the downside of like the whole sort of revamp is that we've lost that.
But for this box set as well, that's kind of surprising. It's not gone down to 3.
Yeah,
I feel like I
yeah.
would have preferred if they could have gone down to 3 and had individual covers.
Yeah.
Like it could be something they could get a vinyl out of at 3.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting. A vinyl release of it.
Yeah, because a lot of the classic Doctor's New Monsters releases were the ones that they tried to get onto vinyl for the shops, but that sort of fell through due to the pandemic and such. And also we've got the BBC logo, the new one there.
Yeah, the new one.
First
Yeah.
time, which is weird, but I wonder how long before we see that as a general rollout on Big Finish covers.
Wait and see that.
Also, Stajman says the logo is at the bottom here. Why does it keep moving around? Yes, I prefer the logo at the bottom now, and it seems that is the main thing for most covers now. Like we've had the 10th Doctor Classic Companions cover, haven't we?
Yeah.
Should we transition to that?
Yeah, we can do. I've loaded it up, hopefully. Load that up on the old page. And then if we go on screen share, there we go.
Yeah,
10th Doctor Classic Companions. It's nearly out. What do we make of this cover?
I'm not a big fan, to be honest.
It's not what I had in mind.
No, I think it's a shame that the digital paintings are becoming so common. So I think they
It
are
loses
special.
a
They do
spark.
work very well. Yeah, I will have some praise to say about this style and the artist shortly. But for this one, it doesn't work for me. It feels a bit oddly laid out. And like you say, it does lose the spark after a while. Like the way Nissa and Leela are sort of blurred together there makes it seem like they'd be in the same story, but they're not. And then you have the random Axos eye down there. It's like the tentacles of the Axon itself almost blend in with the style that the cover has, so you almost look over that at first.
I mean, the pinstripes are a bit off.
They're
a bit squiggly.
Yeah, I think for the 10th Doctor, I feel like they shouldn't have gone for this style. I think it would have been nice to stick with the style that they had with Dalek Universe.
Oh yeah, if it was Dalek Universe covers and bliss.
Yeah, it was just like a sense of deflation seeing this cover, really.
Yeah, because you're like, we're definitely not getting individual cover art then.
No,
it's a shame, really.
Yeah, showing that even the 10th Doctor's down to that in 3 discs as well, but still for quite a high price. Like the tenant tax.
It's for tenant tax, like I say.
Yeah, I mean, at least with 9th Doctor at this price, you do get individual covers and an extra disc.
So I don't feel that's cheated, but I'm sure the stories will be great. It's one of those exciting releases that we must have known for about 2 years now. So
I think it was like December, January
2020, wasn't it?
2020, 2021, yeah.
Yeah. It'd just be finally good to listen to it.
Yeah, I think I probably won't go physical now for this one, now that I've seen the cover, just because it doesn't excite me that much. And also, there's no bundle to lessen the blow of going physical with this one. And also, the price is more than usually pay for a 3-disc set anyway. So,
but I feel like they can get money on it because, hey, it's Classic Companions and Tenant. So I feel like it's one of those ones that is going to sell regardless.
Especially with Ace coming back for the centenary the month after this.
Yeah.
Right. I know Roy Gill's been getting quite a few questions about that. He's the writer of the Ace story, and they're like, how is this going to work with the 13th Doctor meeting Ace in the Centenary? And he's been saying, there is a way it makes sense, don't worry.
It's called time travel.
But apparently when he wrote this, because he knew about the what's it called, Ace novel, A Child at Childhood's End. Yeah, he like wrote it for that, in the sense that there is a line explaining it, and so apparently that line also now works in application to what's going on with the Centenary.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. Because this was written probably before they even decided to bring Ace back. I think this was done like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, the way they work, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they might have the recording dates on it. Don't know, do you want to check the backstage?
I can have a little look.
Nothing there.
Nah.
But they did. Yeah. They said they got Tennant for 20 days in the Vortex article for Out of Time 3. They apparently had him for 20 days, like during that first lockdown, going from like May, June, and July 2020.
We just want more Tennant. More Tennant.
Yeah. But yeah, I suppose another one in this style would be the Beyond War Games.
Oh, Beyond War Games.
Or do you want to go for the audio novel first?
I mean, your choice. Your choice.
I think we'll save the positives for later, so that we're ending on a bit of a higher note.
Okay.
So go Beyond War Games. Although, preface this with saying that I think it's good that we've given it a couple of days rather than giving it our initial reaction. But especially having the Outlaws in hand and seeing how much better that cover looked, remembering how I initially reacted to that. But,
are we ready?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Here we go. Beyond War Games.
But at the same time, there was a sense of, really, when I first saw this, it was like,
yeah, because I saw like the Second Doctor Companion Chronicles cover. I was like, "Oh, Beyond War Games, that looks cool, exciting." And I was like, "Oh no, it's not War Games."
I think it's weird, isn't it, that you have these two covers, and you think one is for a range that is dying out. This is something they've been trying to push out for a while, but pandemic's delayed recording and such. They just want this over with so they can get onto their new era. And then this is their bold new start for the Second Doctor. This is a new actor stepping into the role. This is going into uncharted territory. But the covers, when you say those two things and look at the two covers, it doesn't necessarily line up with
which is which.
What you get. Yeah, this feels much more like the stuff you get there. And it's sort of, I mean, it's all like what you had for Short Trips.
Yeah, it feels more like a Short Trip volume. Yeah.
Before they got more detailed like this. It's a shame because you got a set with Daleks, Ice Warriors, the Brigadier, the Second Doctor altogether. But it's only the Second Doctor on the cover, and
it's a very box set that lends itself to have all these things on the cover, to be honest, isn't it?
Like seeing the Second Doctor with the Brigadier and those on the cover would have worked very well. Like even if it's characters in the line, I would have taken it over this. I mean, the image itself is very well done. It is a very well painted image. It looks great for that. I think the artist's done a great job there. It's just more the brief that maybe I have a problem with. And even then, I would have been fine with this had we got individual artwork.
It works as like a box set slipcase.
Yeah, it's just the loss of anything else here that does disappoint me. But again, I've ended up really coming around on the Outlaws cover, so maybe I'll do the same with this. But still, I feel like with this, there's more lost potential there.
I think because the Hartnell set was way more minimalist in terms of what it's doing.
It's
Whereas
that back
this,
to basic start, isn't it? Whereas this is a
yeah.
bold new era.
So it kind of, considering like Beyond War Games was the one what everyone was excited for when the relaunch was happening, I don't feel like it sort of sells the set as well as it should.
No, like as someone who's gonna, if you're a new listener coming in and you're flicking through this, it's not going to jump out at you that this is the start of a new Second Doctor era of Daleks and such. As I'm just going to keep repeating Daleks, Ice Warriors, Brigadier,
Yeah.
aren't I? But yeah, it's like those things are just not there.
Yeah.
Stylish Run here says, seriously, let's get back to, let's see the top of when we started talking about this. I've never seen such a divisive Big Finish cover. People who disliked it were hating the artist and Big Finish. People who disliked it were hating on people who didn't. People who liked it. I think you meant they were hating on people who didn't. Not a good time to be a Big Finish fan. Yeah, it did seem to get a bit heated out on Twitter there. Seriously, I can't stress how disappointed I am by this cover. It's so bland, doesn't stand out, which deters new listeners. It's disappointing beyond words. Big Finish said that these covers were meant to be title sequences to represent new eras, which I get, but without individual covers, this doesn't. It's terrible representation of the stories. I doubt Big Finish will ever do covers like this. They were only meant to be welcomed into these new eras and such mixed reception. Yeah, I think hopefully we have seen the end of them now. And yeah, hopefully we can get more interesting stuff for second and first Doctor going forward now that we've got over the start of this new era, as it were. But yeah, I mean, so there's ways to work title sequences into the cover and still have more going on. Like you could have still had
Third
this
Doctor.
image, zoom it back a bit, and then get other stuff going on around it.
Yeah, you can have like your Ice Warrior and Dalek there. Brigadier. Cool.
Yeah.
In a line.
Yep. There's ways it could have worked. But like even I almost prefer the what's from the original image placeholder.
Oh yeah.
Like if you go onto the main tab, you can see it for the next search.
Second Doctor Adventures. There we go.
Yeah, like there it is. And you compare those two. I think I do prefer the original image, funnily enough. Bad. Or maybe I know I get why they're going for more color with this one. Because
it's an in-between.
It's like that in-between phase. But having seen how well that charcoaliness worked for the first Doctor, I wonder could it have worked better for the second Doctor as well?
Maybe.
Especially since seeing this title sequence in color isn't a novelty for us now.
Yeah, because of the animation.
Yeah, I think we don't want to be too negative on it because
I bought it. It's fine. I'm looking forward to the stories.
Yeah, we've already got it now, so
yeah, as long as the stories are good, that's all that matters, really.
Yeah, so
that's the main thing.
But, I mean, as we say, we don't blame the artist because we have a wonderful cover from her with this next one, The Dead Star.
Again, read by Michael Troughton.
Yeah,
and by Kate Orman. This is an interesting one.
Going to read a First Doctor audio novel one day.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. But yeah, it's nice that we are still getting those Ben and Polly stories. Interesting that Annika Wills isn't reading this actually, because I think. But I suppose she's still not able to record yet. Maybe.
But I mean, this is a nice change. Because, like, so far the audio novels have all been, hey, here's a Dalek and Cyberman. So it's nice to go, okay, we're not have it unless it's going to do something left field, but that creature says otherwise.
I think that creature's probably my least favourite part of the cover. It is a bit of a weird, mangled thing, but yeah, overall, I do like this cover a lot. and I'm excited for this story. Actually, I probably will pick it up. Probably be my second
Okay.
audio novel purchase. How about you?
I think I probably will pick it up because Kate Orman, she's wrote quite a few Doctor Who books, so this is very much her territory, really. And I think it's been a while since she's actually done. Is it 2009? Her last Big Finish, was it, or something?
Yeah, it was. I think last Doctor Who media in general, probably.
But yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick it up. But yeah, it's a long while off yet. It's January. It feels mental that we got news for that, but again, within a day after we got news of the relaunch stuff. Well, not relaunch, but 2023.
Yeah, the 2023 releases. I mean, after this, we were speaking on that night about how could we now get 2023 stuff on the horizon? Will that be coming soon? And then it dropped. We got the big bundle for 14 releases come out alongside some Fifth Doctor news. Social says, I wonder if this audio novel wasn't meant to be revealed until later, but they released it early to combat the discourse and negativity around the Beyond War Games cover. Right. I kind of doubt it, just because of the approval process they have to go through with BBC to make an announcement. This was done the day after, and so I don't think that would be possible, that turnaround. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe they can get it approved with BBC and then they're allowed to announce it whenever they want. But yeah, I feel like maybe it was more done to tie into it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're excited for more Second Doctor? Well, there's even more coming. But yeah, at the same time, it does feel a bit like salt being rubbed into the wounds of that Beyond War Games cover.
But yeah, Fifth Doctor news. 3-parters. This was what we were teased right from the get-go, the relaunch, but you'd get your beginning, middle, and end. And this is John Drawny's first 3-parter, Friendly Fire.
Yeah. We're getting more Fifth Doctor when we haven't even had the second 40 Doctor. Like, this is almost a year off. This is April next year.
But what I find, when I first saw this drop, I thought, oh, this is like another little bonus thing for the Fifth Doctor this year. Great, because like 40 doesn't feel like it's part of the relaunch. It just feels like its own special entity.
Yeah, it's like its own little celebration.
So I thought, okay, this is the Fifth Doctor's, jumping into the relaunch. No, this is next year's.
Yeah, this is next year's relaunch. But
yeah, well, I always got to say that.
Yeah, it's next
rejig
year's box set. Yeah,
revamp.
Next year's set of stories, and alongside Tegan and Nyssa for this box set as well. Which they feel like the go-to pairing at this point for the Fifth Doctor. It's like, it's not that special, but it's good. It's reliable. I mean, I loved Aquitaine, Peterlee Massacre. Those two.
Peter, yeah, good out.
What do you make of this story then, or like the synopsis for it?
I can't say I'm that intrigued by it.
No, it does give me. It feels a bit of an odd one.
Like, I'm sure it'll be great because it's John Drawny, but I can't say I'm clamoring to listen to it, if that makes sense.
I'm glad after 2 box sets of Cybermen, Ice Warriors, Autons, The Master, this seems to be
original.
No returning monsters, and I think that's often what one of the strengths was of the Fifth Doctor in the main range. He didn't rely on those so much, and so it's nice to be going back to that here. And it's nice to get getting some normal Fifth Doctor stories, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like he's actually entering, the actual relaunch a year later compared to the others.
Yeah. So, do you think 3-parters will work for the Fifth Doctor?
Again, you say 3-parter, you naturally go as at 25 minutes, but again, we've seen with like the First Doctor stuff that the part lengths can be wildly varied.
Yeah, like this 3-parter could easily be longer than Mistfall.
Yeah,
a very short Fifth Doctor 4-parter from the monthly range.
So it's going to be one of those things where as soon as I've downloaded it, we'll have a good idea if it's going to work.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think it's good to have 2 stories in a set of equal length, sort of calling back to the double bill days,
yeah,
but having that extra bit of length on there because, yeah, like I said with the Outlaws, sometimes these stories feel maybe a bit too long for 4-parters, but 2 parts can sometimes be too short, and so maybe 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 parts,
I
an
mean,
hour
yeah, I
and a
mean,
half-ish is just the right amount of time to really explore an interesting idea, but not drag on with it for too long.
yeah,
So, and I think, Fifth Doctor probably suits it as well. Like,
yeah, I
it's
can see it
definitely the
working.
Seventh Doctor's territory more so.
I think, yeah, that's got to be the next move for McCoy.
Yeah.
Whether it'll be the final days or whatever, I don't know.
Do you think we'll be getting that this year? Or like 3-parters for McCoy, I mean, or 3-parters for any Doctor, because we still have quite a few unannounced sets. Or do you think, because this makes it seem like this is the start of 3-parters, do you think we're not going to be getting any until this set?
I think it'll probably be this set, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel that too. Although sometimes Big Finish can be like that, where it's like, oh, something new and exciting is happening.
Yeah,
It's also
that's
now
true.
happening a bit earlier than that, but
So it takes the shine off it all, really.
yeah. Hello, Henry Dude star.
Hello, hello.
Stardust Run asks hopes for all the 2023 box sets in the Classic Doctors, McCoy and McGann in November 2023. Yeah, it's a shame seeing McGann pushed back to November and December again for this one. Like, I understood it for this year because we had Stranded to finish up first. But yeah, it seems odd next year. Although again, it could just be preliminary stuff. Like these dates could be expected to change. Because this is the same exact layout as we had for this year originally before they flipped First Doctor and Fifth Doctor in the April and January slots. Although actually, the originally Seventh Doctor was going to be May, but then got pushed back to June, and he's sticking with June for next year.
So, yeah, and then First Doctor's January now. Which is all good.
Yeah. Hopefully they stick with January for that because don't want to wait too long for more First Doctor.
Yeah, might be the Dalek story.
Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Hope.
But yeah, I think that's all we can really say on the 2023 stuff at the minute, really.
Yeah, it's hard to speculate when we've already got a lot still to come for the 2022 lot. I mean, like, we could just say random different Doctor and Companion combinations at this point, really, can't we? Oh, we know we're going to get Jamie in the Second Doctor set.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, they sort of confirmed that in the interviews for the Annihilators. He says,
okay,
Rick said that Jamie won't be coming into that until 2023, so presumably that's it.
Okay. Well, good stuff.
Yeah, so that'll be when we get those answered. But I suppose just hopefully more interesting combinations, really. Like get a bit of variety in there. Maybe less Mel. No offense to Bonnie Langford. I'm loving having Mel this year, but it would be nice to get like Perry and Ace and different companions getting highlighted. Yeah. It depends what they have planned for Hebe as well.
Yeah, I can see that be going forward.
Yeah. But it's like, will they do anything else to break that up, or will that be the main Sixth Doctor storyline for a while? Will we go back to Flip and Constance anytime soon, or will that become the new older Perry stuff and get left behind for ages? Or I suppose Mel and Ace is the new older Perry stuff at this point. That's been going for a while.
But yeah. Yes, yeah.
Stars from also ask recommendations from recent batch of audios going out of print. Almost all of them are Doctor Who rather than spin-offs and other ranges. Yeah. Do you want to load up the end of the line?
I can do. It's on the old. Is it on the news page? Is it?
I think, or is it the about? Maybe.
I'll have a look here. It'll be down.
Oh yeah, it might be at the bottom there, might it?
Dead Star. No, it's not there at the minute. Not on the weekly news update. But they are doing like a May sale.
Yeah, there is definitely a tab for it somewhere on the website. Yeah, if you go about and then scroll down a bit, it's end of line notifications.
There we go. So we've got Cyberman, First Doctor, Third Doctor, Fourth Doctor Series 4.
Yeah, it's weird seeing Cyberman back on there because
that was the whole point of that box set.
Yeah, it was like replaced the ones that gone out of print, and now it's going out of print itself. It's become the very thing it swore to destroy.
Oh, damn.
Oh, ironic. It could save others from end of line, but not itself. Save others from going out of print, but not itself.
Oh, damn. Labyrinth of Buddha Castle, that's a belter of a one.
I mean, Fifth Doctor box set, if you've not picked that one up, definitely get that before it goes out of print.
I'd say Trouble with Drax, that's a good fun one.
Oh, yeah.
And then Death and the Queen, that's a fun romp. And I think Technophobia is just a bit of history in it. First Tenant, 10th Doctor one. Novel adaptations, can't say any of them yet because that's a future stream.
Yeah. I mean, we can't say definitely Damaged Goods because we've already done that in. That's not really spoiling much. It's only spoiling what we've already spoiled.
It's fine at this point.
Okay. Companion Chronicles First Doctor Volume 3. That is mad. We've just had the newest set come out, and now the one just before that is
going out of print.
Yeah. Well, farewell, Stephen Noonan. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Having you in the chat with us.
Been an absolute pleasure. I would say it's surprising to see the Time Lord Victorious stuff.
Yeah, because that's
a very surprising
just
one.
Over a year old.
Yeah.
It feels like that was an experiment that ultimately failed, sadly.
Yeah, I'm sure we can talk about Time Lord Victorious at another point, really. But yeah.
I mean, Adventures of Bernie Summerfield, they're sort of ones I'm surprised weren't on here already. Because they're quite old. Yeah, maybe they sell quite well, surprisingly.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Space 1999. That seems to go quite well, actually. That, but yeah.
Yeah, I think with those spin-offs in general, or not spin-off, like non-Doctor related things, there's always going to be less sales for them.
Yeah, it's more of a niche market, I guess.
Yeah. Of the Third Doctor Adventures, I'd say Volume 2 is the one to go for there if you can only get one.
Yeah.
Goes up print. For the first story, that's names escaping me at the moment.
Transcendence of Ephros.
Yeah, that's it. That's definitely worth going for.
But Sontarans, that's worth your time. Revelli Conspiracy, we rate that.
Oh yeah, we've reviewed that.
The Outliers,
pretty much all of Series 4, I'd say.
It's all good stuff.
Yeah. And Destiny of the Doctor as well, another one that was sort of like there to replace ones that were going out of print, but has now ended up being redundant itself.
Yeah, Complete Adventure.
Strange times.
Yeah, but there we go. Those are some of our recommendations.
Yeah, there we are. I think, was that the question that you asked earlier, Stylish One, that I said we'd get back to at some point, or was it something else? Because I can't.
Yeah,
I do remember I said I'd come back to something, but was it that?
Who knows?
Yeah, novel adaptations, Unit Dominion, and Benny box sets outlasted all of the April Lucy stuff, the War Doctor stuff, and many other Rangers, said Stylish One. Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Did Big Finish maybe just forget about them?
Who knows? Who knows?
Or I suppose maybe they like had less of them anyway, so it wasn't as much of a rush to get them out the warehouse.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Who knows?
But yeah, I suppose we've covered all the news, haven't we? There's no
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
The Dead Plates cover, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose we can quickly cover that. I mean, I'm slowly beginning to crash. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it's an odd cover, I guess. I can see what it's trying to go for, but the flipped image of Bliss Manager's heads doesn't really work for me.
There's your cover for reference.
Yeah, probably my least favorite of the new wave of Torchwood covers this year.
I mean, the pictures are quite interesting in the background.
Yeah, they're very creepy. I like that. I like everything except the heads, but the heads are what you're instantly drawn to, so it throws you off completely.
Hmm.
I mean, it's better than my work on the thumbnail with Colin's head on the War Doctor's body, but still,
it's all right. It's okay. It does a job. We know what it is.
Well, Stephen Noonan has one last word before I go. Yeah, we won't be too much longer.
That's all right.
Yeah, Ben's drained himself here. I joined DWAS in 1977, believe it or not. The first copy of the TARDIS fanzine I received had a scathing review of the Robots of Death. So some things never change. Yeah.
I think it's just inherent in like Doctor Who fans, isn't it? But we have a negative, like we naturally have to pick at stuff.
Yeah, I think we do have to sometimes pull ourselves back a bit and have that perspective of we probably will feel differently in a couple of years, or even a couple of months sometimes, or just a couple of days. I think, yeah, it's like
I just find that bizarre. Robots of Death, like it just shows like fan consensus changes, though, doesn't it? Really, like Robots of Death, one of my favorite stories. That is.
Yeah, same.
It's crazy to think people didn't like it. It's weird how doctors have cycles of hate them, and then people have like reappraisal. I think that's the glorious thing about these collection booklets in a way.
Yeah, it's like recency bias itself is a thing, but also the opposite of recency bias is a thing as well. I suppose it'd still be called recency bias, wouldn't it? But negative recency bias is probably the way to put it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. But yeah, I think everything often has its own merits in some way or another, and it's just a case of finding a way to make that click with you.
Well, everyone has their own pocket of Doctor Who. That's the thing. You know.
Yeah. Everyone has their own loves and loathes, I suppose. But I think we very much all enjoy Doctor Who as a whole and the possibilities it can present to us.
I mean, I've been a fan for 15 years, so it's doing something right.
Yeah, it's
a bit more than that now. Yeah, nearly 20. Crikey.
2005 for me, so 17.
Yeah, 17 for me as well.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Damn. Yeah. We're definitely stuck with it now.
Yeah, there's no good. We're fans for life
now.
Yeah, we're too deep in the Big Finish rabbit hole. We've given up too much of our money to stop being fans.
I mean, I love it too much. I mean, I probably consume more audio drama than I do TV.
Yeah,
that's bad for a theatre student. If you fell out of love
with Doctor Who, what would you do with all that empty space in your house?
I'm sure Mel would find a way fill in his face, but I don't know.
Just every CD with her face on it.
Oh, don't give her ideas. She'd love that. Oh, yeah.
Stylish One says, I watched Closing Time and thought how old the baby from Closing Time is now. Wow, that's weird. God, that baby's probably like 10, 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
So unrecognizable now.
Well, it might be like filmed in 2010, so it could be like 12, 13. Could be a teenager.
Yeah, be like those awful Sun articles where it's like you won't believe what this star from popular show from a while back looks like now.
Oh,
Star looks
mental.
unrecognizable.
Of course, it's called aging. Of course.
Yes.
Silly
But yeah.
people.
I mean, it's weird when you think about characters like Rose Tyler being 19, and like when we were kids growing up with Doctor Who back in 2005, looking up to her as like, 19 seems so old back then. Now it's nothing. Like
It's in the past.
yeah, but I just feel young and weird. Oh, Stephen says, so nice how encouraging fans like you have been, by the way. So thanks a million, lads. Thank you for giving us this amazing portrayal of the First Doctor again.
Yeah, and keep up the good work. We look forward to hearing more. And look forward to hearing the Third Doctor villain whenever that appears.
Yeah, fingers crossed for October, if that is that's the next Third Doctor set listed. So that'd be exciting to hear. But I just thank you for being a great ambassador for the brand, I suppose, the Big Finish and Doctor Who as well. So for you being a fan yourself, know how much that sort of stuff means to. It's great seeing you really get stuck in with that, and I believe a lot of people had a great time meeting you at Big Finish Day as well. I heard a lot of good things from the people who went there. So yeah, thank you for everything you've given us recently. Before Ben collapses live, I think now we should wrap it up.
The university life does that for you. I mean, it's been bad week because it's been like tech week, and that's just like standing around. Oh, can the light go there? Yeah, but all ready for show week, so it's fine.
Best of luck with all that.
Yeah, final week of uni. Let's get it done. Right, so that is us done for another edition of Big Finish Fans. Been a lovely one. We will be back not next week, but the week after, because I've got a show. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I've got a show next week. So I won't be around unless I give Luke the keys to the channel and he can stream.
Just me on my own for
on your own.
Goodness knows what.
I'm sure he could find something to talk about. Yeah, but there we go. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Stephen, once again. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And we will see you very soon for whatever shenanigans we have planned. Probably novel adaptations, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll finally get around to that. It's been a project we've been working on for a while, isn't it? Because we have been going back and re-listening to most of them. So expect probably a more in-depth tier list for that one, because we've done our homework, or we are in the process of doing our homework. I have dived into quite a few of them. So yeah, look forward to what we have to say on them there. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you everyone, and we will see you soon. I'm crashing bad. So yeah, take care everyone, and goodbye for now.
Take care.